gun screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. Everybody's selling truth like a brand, buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth. But silence is loud when the house is burning. And the fuse is short, yeah, it's still learning. I don't dance for the left or the right. I stand in the heat, I stand in the fight. No strings, no chains, no manufactured choir. Just gasoline thoughts and an open lighter. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. The world's on tilt, pressure climbing. Truth don't whisper, it's perfect timing. You can't cancel the smoke, you can't stop flame. Say my name when it hits, say my name. Why? Say my name. Say my name. Fire don't ask permission. Fire don't need a side. Fire just shows up honest and exposes the lie. This is and I'll bring the fire. Truth hits harder. Burn it down till what's real survives. No smoke, no mirrors, just heat and lies. And I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. American fire. Strike it. Let it speak.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. We're back. It is American Fire. I'm Ace, and I have a lot to get to today. That's why I was 5 minutes late, folks, because I was parsing through so much stinking information from the last few days over the weekend. It is wild. We have a lot to cover today. So I hope you're buckled in. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for massive white pills, massive red pills. It is all good. Doesn't mean it won't be tough at times, but the news is good. We're on the right side of history. That is obvious as they are continuing to ramp up the attacks, their maneuvers, trying to take us out. It is obvious what they're trying to do, and we're watching it in real time. Guys, we live in an incredible moment in history. I got to tell you, it's amazing. But I also had something really cool happen this weekend, and I just want to share it with you guys because this is kind of the thing dreams are made of. Dreams are made of, and I just want to share it with you guys that Thomas Massey has finally blocked me. I've arrived. Yeah. This is a good day in American history in my life. Yesterday, when this happened, it's a proud badge of honor to be blocked by one of the biggest frauds in the world, one of the biggest grifters. I must have been getting to him. I thought this guy was tough. That's what he tells us. He's a true fighter. He's not afraid of you people. I'm going to take it to him. I'm a real American patriot. America first, even if I disagree with you. All that nonsense that he spouts, and it happened, guys. It happened. It was like an early Christmas present. I love this so much. This makes me so happy because on X, if you're blocked, you can still read their posts. It doesn't stop me from doing what I'm doing. It just stops me from being able to comment on his posts, which whatever. I can always screenshot it, but it tells me we're getting to him. We're getting to him. This is a House of Representatives of the United States of America, a man who is paid by my tax dollars to represent me, blocking one of his, not his local constituents, but one of his American constituents that, so there you go, folks. If you ever have any doubt that these people are fraudulent, all you got to see is this. They would go ahead and block one of the people they're supposed to be representing. Isn't that hilarious? They can't handle the heat, can you? Can you wiener? It's just hilarious. So we'll have to keep this up here for a while, but woo! Anyways, I love that. That made me so happy. I'm still waiting for others. I'm still waiting for Marjorie Taylor Greene and et cetera, Candace. But it's great. It's great. Makes me so happy. But anyways, thought I'd share that with you guys because, again, badge of honor. As Tom Luongo says down here, wear it proudly. I will, absolutely. Anyways, I don't know if you guys caught last night's stream. I did get into a talk with BAM investor, aka Jim Savoldi, last night. He's a friend, and we had a great talk about what things are going on with the markets. Okay, and why is that important? Because City of London, one of its greatest tentacles is the financial markets, and it is what they built their bones on, how they control all the political systems they control, so on and so forth. And that is where they might be planning an attack soon. So if you guys want to check that out, Jim is great. He's a patriot. And I know some of his stuff is a little over the head of most people who aren't in like the financial sphere, but I tell you, it's still worth a listen. We break it down kind of in a more general way in the middle, but yeah, worth checking out. So check that out as an emergency live stream because this week the markets, although right now they're up like 600 points, which we're going to talk about today, why that is possible, why it's possible that Besant, Trump are outmaneuvering the City of London. So we'll have to talk about that as well. But so many things going on, folks. So Iran is ramping up. We have some very interesting things going on there as Trump called off the attack this weekend, which is why the markets are spiking. But I think there's more to the puzzle than is being reported. Of course, everybody's Taco Trump again, all that. We're going to talk about that. We got to get into the economy and the markets, what's going on there. So that will be a segment today. Also, the midterms update, including something very interesting. Trump is being reported by Trump on the midterms. And then a massive grifter report today. It is a big one because those grifters be grifting big time this weekend. They came out in full force. And so we got a lot to get to on that. A lot to get to. It'll be starring some of our favorites, including the man right here, Mr. Thomas Massey, who can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. Well, that's it. That's him right there. So weak man. But I did want to start today with RFK, his takedown. And this will be small, but this was fun. His takedown of CNN. So we'll get into that in a minute. But first, I do want to get into the chat, say hey to everybody, get some shout outs for being here. Welcome. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe before we get into it. And folks, you guys know the rules. be honorable, be respectful in the chat. Voice your opinions, your thoughts, your disagreements, your questions, your comments. All of that is gravy as long as you're not taking people down or being a jerk. So we will block those. The moderators are standing by. They love the block button because it's really fun to block trolls. So don't worry. We'll get to you if you're trolling. And we'll make sure of it. So with all that said, let's give some shout outs here. Let's start on the Rums. We got Rums, Sheath777, Don Julio, Chrissy Katz, holding it down over there with Pixel Snap. Thank you guys for watching, and everybody else. Feel free to jump in the chat. Here on the tubes, we have numero uno today, Heather with the pink waving hand, Doc No Threads, Raven, Daisy Trumpet, Lisa Doxy, Mark R, MFN Tango, G Shell, Lil Roo, DJ Fusion, Janice Bain, Maga Anon, Lisa Doxy, Jay Tyrus, Kate Davidson, Doc No, Taya Dai, there's Dong. He's always here. Thomas Land and Lisa Couture, Kellyanne Washburn, Chicky Rogue, David Cowboy, Jim Harmon, Travis Duarte, Gray Fog, Sabatic, Kevin Nichols, Nick Majors, Johnny Sanchez, FP Sunny, Golden Child, and Reef Keepa, and many, many more. Thank you guys for watching. Again, I'd love to call you all out, but I can only get to the early peeps. But again, feel free, jump in the chat, all that good stuff. If you want to support the channel, you can always send a super chat, which are guaranteed to be read, questions guaranteed to be answered, or you could jump in the membership in the description below. Try it out for a free month. So I did see somebody tagged me on some real quick. Oh, Dong says, congrats on getting blocked. You're hurting his numbers. Yeah, man, he's not happy. And we're going to, I got some fun stuff to show you today on the Grifters, guys. They are suffering right now, and it is beautiful. It's so beautiful to see. It makes me so happy. It tells you that what we're doing is working, calling them out. It works wonderfully. Oh, sorry. My kids need the Spotify password. This is the live show, folks. Live show. Like it and love it. I got to keep them interested because otherwise they'd be barging down my door, as my wife is out of town until tomorrow on some ladies retreat. Yep, she's been gone a lot lately, but don't worry, guys. Don't worry. I think she's coming back. I'm pretty sure she's coming back. DJ says, word of advice, lighten up your thumbnails and bit to fit your positive outlook. Thumbnails kind of dark. Well, you know, I do appreciate that. I will say this, DJ, that the thumbnails I do have a very high click rate, so I don't really want to mess with them right now. But I do appreciate it, and I will consider it if I see a drop. Texas Nevsky says he's an evil murderer when he threatens them, but a coward when he doesn't fall through on the threat. Panikins are moronic and disingenuous. Absolutely. Absolutely. Massey's messy. All right. I love this crowd. I love you guys. I do. I have the best. This is the best audience on YouTube. Just bar none. The absolute best audience on YouTube. Chicky Rogue. Oh, thank you, Chicky. I hope so. I hope that's the hope. Okay. I'm going to do it. This is a small segment, but we're going to enjoy it. We're going to enjoy it because RFK Jr. went on CNN this past weekend, straight face to face with Dana Bash. And my friends, it was one of the most fun segments I've seen in a while, as RFK Jr. obviously they got the Trump memo, his cabinet, that they're not letting these people get away with it anymore. But she was pressing him on COVID. Of course, they're trying to run cover for Fauci, and RFK just was not having it. Here's the first segment I want to show you guys. This is just great stuff.
People have been trying to put guardrails around it for generations, and it hasn't worked. And clearly, COVID-19 pandemic and many other global pandemics that we have come from gain-of-function research. The RSV epidemic that we have, that is the biggest killer of kids in this country today, came from these kind of experiments. The Lyme disease almost certainly came from this kind of research. So, and the scientists who you say are experts are making the argument that this is necessary for pandemic response cannot point to one instance in history where research that came out of this kind of experimentation has actually provided us something beneficial.
So how do you prepare then? How do you prepare for the next pandemic? I mean, that's literally part of your job now, because experts think it's going to happen within the next 10 years again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did virtually everything wrong the last time.
So what about now?
The principal thing that we need to do is we need to listen to what's happening to doctors on the ground. There are 15 million frontline physicians around the world.
Folks.
They're mainly now connected through the internet. We can tell on the front lines what's working and what's not. If we had listened to those doctors during the COVID pandemic, we would have saved potentially millions of lives. There were therapeutics out there that were working. There were doctors that were having no deaths from COVID and treating, in some cases, thousands of patients. And we weren't listening to them. Instead, we were doing the opposite.
How mad she is. Look at her mouth.
We were shutting them down. And then, Dana, the other thing that I would say is that we need to protect our constitutional rights. That is the primary obligation
What
of
does
our
that mean?
country.
What's that?
Well,
mean?
during COVID, we completely
so
dismantled
awful.
our constitutional rights. We began censoring people in violation
Okay, but
of the First Amendment.
but I'm not, you're saying
you
what
wanna-
not to do. I'm asking what to do. But I want to talk
Well,
about.
that's something to do. That is the number one priority. We protect the Constitution. The Constitution was
Forgive
written.
me, but you're talking about rights, and I'm asking about a potential public health crisis.
Do you notice what she did there? You're talking about rights, but I'm talking about a crisis. She's like, how do we get rid of the rights? That's what she's asking. This is crazy.
That is coming. But I do want to
And one of the mistakes we made in the last time was suppressing those rights so people weren't being heard. The doctors who were saying you're doing it wrong were being marginalized and vilified.
Yeah,
And
because again, I really want to move on, but
Did you see how she wants to move on? She does not like this conversation.
yeah, of
You were
course
saying-
wanna
you were-
move on because
yes,
you
I
were
do.
part of the problem.
no,
You're
I
part of
wasn't
the
part
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
problem.
there was absolute press malpractice. You weren't allowing your
Mr.
job.
Secretary,
Your job is a fierce skepticism
Okay.
toward authority. And
Yes,
you weren't
I am.
doing that. You
I
were
am.
beating up
My
on
job
people
is
who
also
were dissenting.
No. Okay. You want to sit here and attack me, or do you want to have conversations
sitting
about
here and
public health?
attacking me.
I'm not attacking you. I'm asking questions about how to
And let
prevent
me
the next
ask the
pandemic.
question, and I'll tell you.
That's what I'm trying to do.
You guys know that Dana Batch's ex-husband was one of Obama's deep staters. He was, I believe, the head of the CIA for a bit. I'd have to double check that, but his name was Bash as well, and you could look it up. But regardless, he had a major role in the Obama administration with the Intel community. So that tells you a lot of what you need to know. But this gets a lot more heated as it goes. RFK's not going to let her get away with it.
You are the HHS secretary, and you are talking about things that lead to vaccine hesitancy in this
Vaccine
country.
hesitancy.
And it is something that causes problems for people
Let me
when
ask
there
you.
is not anything.
Let me ask you something. Do you see your job as ending vaccine hesitancy, or do you see your job as telling the truth to the American people?
I see my job as telling the truth, and the truth is that there is study after study after study. It's one of the most studied things out there in science.
You're repeating
and it
it
is
like a parrot. You're repeating
So are
it
you.
like a parrot.
So are
I've
you.
actually read the science.
You
You
don't
and I
wanna-
come
you don't
back
wanna-
here and debate the
So
science.
I'm not debating this with you.
Of course you won't.
No,
You
because
just-
I'm not
all you
debating
know how to
also-
do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again
Yes.
to talk about something
Did you see hear her? She said, yes, she totally admits it. This is so good.
that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job, to talk to people.
Your job is to
Am I
tell the
allowed to
truth
talk?
to the American
Yes,
public.
yes. And my job
And
is
to
to
be-
get as
and
much
to-
information as I
And to
can.
maintain
what we were doing,
a posture
what we were
of
doing,
serious skepticism
what we
toward
were
government
doing
authority.
in COVID and still, with regard to these vaccines, is getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And sir, what you are doing is causing
getting the best
information
science
to be
from
out there
somebody
that
who's
is
lying
not
to you.
accurate.
Who was lying to
The
you?
National
You're getting the best science from somebody who's lying to you. This is so good, man. We just haven't had this before. It makes me so happy. And RFK, man, he's full on, just Trump has emboldened him. This has been one of the great men of our lifetimes trying to fix the health system, trying to call it out. And he is now on the Trump team. His eyes were awakened to what Trump's actually doing. And he feels completely emboldened to go after the press. No more playing nice. No more playing Mr. Democrat like he did in the past. It is war. He understands how these people are awful. And this is the Trump effect, guys. This is how Trump has emboldened these things. People are watching this on CNN, watching Dana Bash get flustered. Yes, some will take her side in this, of course, because they already hate RFK Jr. But regardless, this is how you wake people up. You call them out on their BS. Here is one other part here that was just excellent.
It is also factually true that the COVID vaccine worked. The COVID vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data.
Did you hear what she did? Data upon data upon data, but she can't name anything specific. The COVID vaccine worked. Fauci just said in his article or as his diary, it doesn't work.
Let's talk about the measles, please, because this is something that is happening as we speak. The
Do you think
cases
the
in the
COVID
U.S.
vaccine protected children?
I think that what I have talked to scientists and doctors
Talk to
about.
scientists. Can you show me one study
Yes, I can.
that shows that
I can.
children were protected by the COVID vaccine?
I can tell you that
That
there are.
vaccine did more good than harm to children. Can you show me one study that shows that?
I can tell you that when it comes to the vaccine, there have been studies that show that because of vaccine
Let's
disinformation, there could have been 100 to 200,000 lives in the U.S. saved. But because people didn't get the vaccine, that's why. I'm not saying that it entirely.
You
let
are
me finish.
saying
Let me
nonsense.
finish.
You were saying something.
Oh man, you are saying nonsense. It's so good. So good. His face when he says that too. Look at it, like the glee. He just knows like she is just lying through her teeth. He gets that bowed up like and point. So good.
Nonsense. You are saying something that you cannot show me
Okay.
a single study.
I am
that
not
says
saying
that.
nonsense.
You
I
are
am
talking what
Excuse
somebody
me.
told you.
Excuse me.
And you
Let me
cite me the study.
What
study?
No, what
Cite
studies
me
are
the
you
study.
talking about? You're talking about studies that actually don't exist. I want to talk about.
Cite me.
Cite me anything, man. She is so flustered. This is a pure freak out. They are not used to being challenged. They're used to running they're used to running the game here. Like, I mean, she's just overwhelmed. She's losing it. She doesn't know what to say. Oh, how dare you challenge me? That's not what they're used to. They're used to these people being thankful, grateful to be on television so much that their star is, rising because we're on the tubes. And so they get to get away with murder. And no longer, this is so good. So good. And, it's just, I don't know. I had to share this with you guys because it made me so happy. RFK just demolished her. It's a beautiful thing to see. It shows you the weakening of the press, the weakening of the psyops, the narratives they used to push. And all you have to do is push back. We went for so long with no pushback. Nobody would challenge these people. Nobody would call them out publicly. This is why I do it. This is why I do it all the time, because it's necessary. Because whether you like it or not, you don't have to like it. But frankly, I don't care. This abrasiveness, I had somebody write in my comments the other day that like they just wish they've given up because they just wish Republicans could get back to civility and and kindness, and they've lost them because they've gotten so mean. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the war. It was that civility, that kindness, that being nice to everybody and acting like everybody's opinions are equal. That is what got us to this point. It's that we didn't have fighters. We didn't have the masculine energy to look at somebody as they're spewing nonsense and say, that is stupid. That is crazy. What you're saying right now is retarded. There is no evidence to what you're saying. There's no proof to it. That is the energy we need to win. And it has to be more extreme than ever because we dug a hole. And now we're digging out of it. This is why I respond to trolls. This is even though I block them, but I let the audience see what I'm saying, the response. This is why I go after the grifters, why I put their stuff out there, because it works. When you expose them, when you counter it, when you get them flustered, it works. And that's why we do this, folks. You don't have to like it, but you have to understand it works. What Kennedy's doing here, what Trump's been doing to the media, it's destroying their credibility. And thank God. Thank God. Because guys, I'm telling you, if they had gotten their way, if we hadn't had fighters around us, it could have been so much worse. As Jeffrey Tucker shares here, the CDC had planned nationwide quarantine camps. We have no idea. As bad as COVID was, as bad as people give Trump a bunch of crap for how he handled it. But guys, we avoided this. Do you understand how much worse they wanted it to be? And we avoided it because we had fighters. And those fighters now, we have more of them. And it woke up a bunch of people. So this is just another case, guys, of how I believe we're winning. And it's because of this energy. It's because of our willingness to fight back. We're not going away anymore into that dark night. And now the new precedent has been set. You don't have to take it anymore. You don't have to take it anymore. Take them on, destroy their arguments in real time, make them defend themselves, make them show what they actually have, and then let all the audience see just how ridiculous and retarded they actually are when all this comes down to it. That's how you create an awakening. So, all right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I really did. That's why I wanted to share it. It was a nice short segment. We're going to get into deeper things here, but I wanted to give Bobby his credit for putting that on. That was just excellent stuff. Real quick, Andrew Thompson with a $10 super chat says, in the spirit of the soup Nazi, Thomas Massey says, no tweets for you. That's right. That's what he tried to do to me. Hey, you know what's hilarious? What do I get with all the stupid Groiper bot types that come in my chat and get mad that I block trolls? They're like, you're not free speech. You're not, you can't handle the fact. Well, guess what, guys? Your messiah, Thomas Massey, Groiper, libertarian messiah, Thomas Massey, free speech, he blocks. I'm living proof of that. So guess what? Your argument is retarded. And there it is. K2 for you today with a $10 super chat says, Dana Batch versus RFK Jr. sending an unarmed person in the fight with a special forces warrior. She just proved how uninformed and unprepared she was. Where's the data, Dana? Exactly. Well, studies, experts say, people tell me that. Yeah, exactly. Birdie says, I know where we could have been without Trump. I may not agree all the time. I'll wait a few days before making a decision on stuff. He surprises me a lot. Well, that is a perfect comment to segue into the next segment, folks, because we're going to have a lot of people not understanding what Trump's doing in Iran right now. So we're going to talk about this in the next segment. David Stasowski says, how disrespectful of Dana to talk with the Secretary of Health and Human Services in a manner she did. How disingenuous of her to not even understand remotely respect his answers. I know, right? It's almost like he is the, it's not like he's not an expert. He is literally the highest position in the land for this stuff. I mean, that's just crazy. Yeah, it's nonsense. Let's see, anybody else before we move on here? Let's see. $5 super chat from Janet. Thank you, Janet. It says, simple tip. Congratulations for holding a place of honor on the Massey blocking list. Well, thank you. Thank you. Cat Crazy says, that's why these people never get fired. They're dug in deeper than most people even know. Cuomo's fate was sealed when his brother lost in New York. Well, yeah, I mean, and you know, actually let's look at this real quick, because I do want to make sure I cover this well. Bash, was it CIA director? Yeah, Jeremy Bash. Yeah, this was her ex-husband, Jeremy Bash, ex-CIA director for Obama. So there it is, folks. Obama presidency, list of CIA directors. So there you go. That's her ex-husband. So yeah, tell me again about, you know, Dana and her. I'm sure she's not intel operation at all. As a Clinton News Network, as Rush used to call it, CNN, or a CIA News Network, whatever you want to call it. There you go. That was her ex-husband. Okay. Let's see. Let's get into this. All right. So this weekend, things. All right. Hold on. Let me gather myself for this, because there's a lot here to unpack. So heading into this last weekend, Trump was saying that we were going to unleash upon Iran at levels not seen since World War II. It was going to be epic. And then, of course, out of nowhere, Saturday night, we get this tweet from Trump. Says, USA is locked and loaded, ready to go against the Islamic Republic of Iran at levels of military terror, strength, and power not seen since World War II. Despite this, we have been asked by Iran and other Middle Eastern countries to hold off any attack, and that the perimeters of a deal has been agreed to. Here we go again, right, folks? This would include the immediate, complete, and total opening of the Hormuz Strait and end to Iran's nuclear threat. Based on request, I've agreed for the future benefit of the world, and likewise the survival of a successful and prosperous Iran, to cancel the attack, subject to being able to rapidly make a deal. Country of Israel joins me in this commitment. Get to work, everybody, and get it done. Thank you for your attention to this matter. What I believe is happening is that we're entering the rope-a-dope again. And it's very interesting that this time, you notice every time we go back, we escalate a little more. Okay. And here we go again. Markets have responded. They've rocketed up, although there's more to this story coming in a bit. But what's interesting about this is that, asked by other Middle Eastern countries, is it possible Saudi Arabia is starting to get more leverage on Iran after they joined us in the attacks? What he also did is mention Israel, which that is fascinating, because Israel is the one who wants to blow Iran to smithereens and not stop. But it says Israel is joining me in the commitment. So I find that fascinating. And we have very little on what's going on behind the scenes here. Very little. But I will tell you, last week we got a lot of interesting information about how even Axios is reporting that Iran is terrified of our Treasury Department more than our War Department. Is it possible we just hit a new level in the war economically? And that's why Trump is making different moves militarily. Listen to this. $4 billion moved through an office at a budget hotel in Dubai. Reuters just published one of the most significant financial investigations of the year. An unlicensed crypto exchange called Shellbit, run by one expatriate Iranian from an unfashionable neighborhood in Dubai, processed at least $4 billion for an Iranian sanctions evasion network that connects three things aren't supposed to touch each other: an illegal gambling empire, Iran's central bank, and the IRGC. This just got busted up. More than 2,000 Farsi language gambling websites, one of the largest illegal gambling networks ever discovered, fronted by 2 social media influencers who post gym selfies and travel content while promoting the sites to millions of followers. The gambling network has access to Iran's online payment system, which is closely overseen by the central bank. That access doesn't happen by accident in a country where the central bank monitors digital transactions. And then the crypto layer. Shellbit's an unlicensed crypto exchange. No registration, no compliance, no AML program. Just an office above a hotel processing billions. Oh, like shadow banking. Reuters traced tens of millions from the gambling network through Shellbit. At least 676 million moved from Shellbit-linked addresses to Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange since May 24. Binance paid $4.3 billion in penalties for 23 for AML failures. If 676 million from Iranian sanctions evasion network flowed through Binance after that settlement, the question whether Binance's plea agreement has been violated is now on the table. Shellbit didn't just serve gamblers. Reuters found it interacted with Iran's central bank, with Novatex, a sanctioned Iranian crypto exchange, and with wallets that Israeli intelligence is linked to the IRGC. We're cutting off the funding again. See, there's always more going on than what we see on the outside. Unlicensed exchange in Dubai, connected to gambling empire, connected to central bank, connected to military intelligence service. 3 days ago, Treasury designated Hormuz Safe another Iranian operation accepting Bitcoin to monetize a protection racket through the Strait of Hormuz. 2 separate Iranian crypto rails exposed in the same week. Dubai again. Is it possible Trump is putting the push on Dubai, UAE? And that's why he talks about them, these Middle Eastern countries asking for us to stop bombing. It could be actually that what Trump is navigating behind the scenes is the end of all the shadow banking in the Middle East, drying it up, and he's just giving them some props. Maybe the government of UAE is working to shut this down. Who knows? But again, there's always so much more going on than we think. Here's the UAE's response. UAE adheres to the highest international standards, work closely with international partners to disrupt and deter all forms of illicit financial flows. They don't like being caught on this. Question isn't what UAE says, is whether the investigation produces enforcement. Gambling is laundering architecture is global. This week alone, 2,000 plus Iranian gambling websites moving billions through Dubai crypto. 10 Mexican gambling establishments designated under Section 311 as Sinaloa cartel money laundering fronts. You guys know all that offshore gambling you do online? Not you guys, of course, because you're all law-abiding citizens. But those people who are doing that online casinos, they've been funding all this terrorism, cartel crap, all of that. Oh, it's just harmless. It's just fun. Yep. Very smart of them, isn't it? That's how you get American money to fund this stuff. India's ED rating online gaming platforms under money laundering charges. 20-year-old bookstore in Dallas running a trafficking operation through a commercial front. All this in 1 week. Different countries, different criminal networks, same architecture. Gambling and commercial fronts is the revenue layer that converts illicit activity into movable money. The weapon that was built for exactly this target. 2 weeks ago, I wrote out Congress rebuilt the financial kill switch 3 times because the money kept moving off banking rails. Section 311 for banks, Section 9714 for crypto, Section 2313 for fentanyl. Shellbit's the textbook 9714 target. Unlicensed crypto exchange processing $4 billion for sanctioned entities. Watch the money, not the podium. I'm the guy on the couch. You've been debriefed. And here's the Reuters. Illicit Iranian gambling network busted, basically. Pretty crazy stuff. And then we got Ida in. Also last week, we got the Gaza announcement. Board of Peace announced deal with Gaza, turn over their weapons. Here's the breakdown for Ida. Trump plays the part of chaos agent and does this to keep his enemies off balance. He's been telling you this on video and in print since 1987. Fantastic summary. Here's the summary of what happened. Some of you are telling me Gaza deal can't last. You're not seeing the whole board. Remember, again, folks, this is all in context of Trump holding off the bombing. Okay? All in that context, all what happened last week behind the scenes. First is that Islamist radicals can just spontaneously produce missiles, guns, and money from thin air, but they can't. Second is general blackpilling. Frankly stupid. You're demoralized. Big whoop. You'd have been more demoralized in the summer of 1940, or for that matter, 1942, and you've been just as wrong. Get over yourself. Look at the facts. Thank you for that. I agree. Blackpilling is dumb. Blackpilling is for the weak-minded. First, Israel beat the crap out of Hamas, one of the most bloodthirsty terrorist groups on earth. They're just as murderous with their own people as what the Israelis have been for decades. It's no accident. Since Israel handed Gaza to the Palestinians in 2006, Christian Arab population has been reduced by 2/3. Oof, that is crazy. No matter what you think of Israel, Hamas is evil. That is very true. Absolutely true. Black pill types told us 9 months ago the peace would not last a week and Trump could never pull off the deal agreed to yesterday. Remember this, guys? Last was October, November, when he ended it and they introduced the 20-point plan for Gaza peace in Gaza. And guess what? It hasn't ramped up since. Oh, it's almost like Trump knows how to pull all this stuff off. Which, by the way, Hamas is a subsidiary of Iran, state-sponsored terrorists, just like Hezbollah. Funny. Economic war being fought very well. Here we are 9 months later, and he has. Oh, it won't last, you say. You said that last October when the peace was held. Why? Israel cut off Hamas's ability to fight. Trump cut off its ability to resupply. Second reason it's simple is Hamas's three chief patrons were Iran, along with Turkey and Qatar. Trump has reduced Qatar to a U.S. protectorate. Oh, yeah, and they left OPEC. He's deal-making with the Turks on F-35s and disposition of Syria, including new oil pipelines. Turkey suddenly needs peace to achieve its own ends. Qatar simply has nowhere to go, and Hamas has no one to ship them weapons or pay their bills. Just wiping them all out financially. This is how Trump wins wars without killing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. They'll do it because no one hates Hamas as much as the Arabs. Why? Because they're always destabilizing things. Every country Palestinians have entered in any numbers, they've immediately plunged into civil war. No one wants them anywhere near anything important. Egypt's wall along its border with Gaza makes a maximum security prison look like a sandcastle. There's no such wall along the Israeli border. There's a reason. Trump has carefully cultivated enormous business and investment deals with every regional power. Gone out of his way to give them things they need and want, from the Saudi nuclear power deal to Turks' favorite installed in Damascus. It's all about sovereignty. Fourth, a massive generational shift is underway. Old-timers want a Palestinian state so long as it's safely contained somewhere else, and they used it to show they were tough against Israel when in war after war they've been shown to be impotent. Low cost and moderately higher reward for them. He goes on and on and on, but it's just a great breakdown. Let's read this part real quick. Trump knows three things black pill guys do not. Trump knows prosperous countries rarely attack one another. Exactly. They have too much to lose. That's why he's enabling the Middle East to grow prosperously and why he's willing to make deals that others might not understand. Trump knows Americans can make fortunes in the Middle East if peace is the rule rather than the exception that will never be achieved through Bush-style occupation. Neocons. Bomb Iran. Let's send the troops in. That's what they're doing. Trump is tacoing out again. But that can't lead to prosperity. We can't win anything from that. He knows we can save fortunes if we don't have to worry about Middle East anymore. True. Trump knows that without money, you're done, and he knows how to cut off the cash. No one funds Hamas now. No one funds Hezbollah now. Lebanese peace requires stable, functioning Lebanese government, dismantling of Iran's proxy army on Israel's northern border. Exactly. And again, very long, but worth if you want to play the whole thing. But at the end here, this takes us back to here. Going back to a deal, Trump plays the chaos agent. He does this to keep his enemies off balance. Telling you this on video and in print since 87. If you can't see the play, that's on you. How many times do I tell everybody who's blackpilling? We have the track record on Trump. This is what he does. You can't understand where he's going. You can only hope to guess. But the man wins. He knows how to win. He keeps enemies off guard. And when everybody in the world's watching, guess what? That means we're all kept off guard, because only Trump and a handful of people ever understand exactly what he's doing. The rest of us are sitting and watching. So you have two options. You can trust Trump and his track record, which is astounding, or you can black pill every single time he does something you don't understand. And you can continue to be on the side of the losers. That's on you. But no one does the homework, keeps working for him. That is also true. We're seeing how badly the deep state keeps getting their butts handed to them because they don't understand Trump. They don't have anybody nearly as good on their side leading things to understand it. He's remaking the Middle East. No matter what happens in Iran, our grandchildren will thank him, not just for peace, for prosperity that comes from it. What they won't remember is your black pill foolishness, your temporary gas price inconvenience, or your inability to see the world being transformed before your very eyes. How many of us care that there was a gas shortage in the 70s? And I don't care. I wasn't born yet. Doesn't matter to me. It was temporary. I know my parents remembered it. I know several of you probably remember it. But does it matter anymore? No. Exactly. Temporary pain, long-term gain. Now, that one, we didn't really get much gain. But the point is, when you building for the future, there's always going to be a little temporary pain when you're making massive changes. We want your grandchildren to respect you after all. So trust what Trump is doing. And I'm not saying trust the plan. I'm saying trust the man. That's what I trust. I'm not a trust the plan guy. I'm a trust the man guy. And that's where I'm going to continue to stay. Now, here's Trump giving us a little more insight into where we're at.
Asked by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go just about at this time right now, and it would have been a massive attack. We were all set to go, but when the allies ask to call it off, you got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran. I call it the denuclearization of Iran. So
you see what he's saying here? He's saying the allies, UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, he's listening to them. Why? Because it's their area. This is the sovereignty treatment. This is what pisses the neocons off. They want us to control everything. They want us to militarily control the whole world. Pisses them off. This pisses off the globalists because you're not supposed to get to make decisions in the Middle East. We're supposed to make all those decisions. We're supposed to control everything. They're not. See, Trump is doing something much bigger here than just making sure America wins unilaterally. He's making sure we win and the Middle East win, and that they have a stake in the game. Because if the Middle East has a stake in the game, all these other countries have a stake in it, they'll provide enforcement. They'll take responsibility. This is very smart of Trump, continually letting all these other countries come to the table and be a part of the decisions. As Observing Consciousness says, City of London and CCP are so screwed. They need Hormuz open, but they can't surrender Iran either. Venezuela's ours. They are trapped between a noose and a lethal injection. Exactly. Because what does Hormuz hurt? Not us. Our oil is still right around $80 a gallon. We can survive that. We can survive that long term. It's not the best. People won't love it. But if everything else keeps improving and oil just stays elevated for, another 6 months to a year, we're going to be fine. Americans will be fine. That's overall for the whole year, like $1,000, $1,500 if you drive a lot. That sucks, but we can all survive it. Europe cannot survive this. China cannot survive this if it keeps going on. That's where they were getting their oil. That was the control of their oil. Trump is weakening our enemies. And they also are getting cheap oil from Iran. And City of London had Iran as a great destabilizer in the Middle East. They're between a noose and a lethal injection. I love that right there. There's a Reuters story. Now, Trump dropped this morning. Iranian leadership, unbelievably duplicitous. They asked for a meeting. Some would say beg. Talks begin, but with more scheduled in the immediate future. And they say openly and proudly they're not having any. Nothing's being talked about, and they're only dealing with Oman. They go on to give their usual blather and saying the Strait of Hormuz will be operated powerfully by them when it's already completely controlled by the U.S. Navy. And our blockade, some say, the United States wall of steel. Nothing gets through to Iran unless we want it to, and nothing will get through unless a deal or total surrender is accomplished. Whether Iran wants to admit it or not, we are, in fact, talking of a solution to a problem they have caused for decades. It's very simple. They'll never have a nuclear weapon. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This is another possible setup as well. Trump's also telling everybody who's like, I can't believe you think you could deal with Iran. What's he say right here? Leadership's duplicitous. In other words, folks, it's going to be nonstop psyops surrounding this until it's done. Until it's done. So you can trust the man or you can freak out. But I'll tell you, City of London, the globalists, CCP, they're all freaking out right now. All of our greatest enemies are freaking out. And we can tell because Trump is now pulling the threads on Ukraine and Russia again. Here is Trump at last week's cabinet meeting on Ukraine, which, by the way, had started ramping things up last week. Listen to this.
You said the other day that you're not sure about whether to grant Ukraine the Patriot missile license that had been discussed. Do you want to see more from Zelensky before you take that action?
Well, it's a big step. Look, we have the greatest weapons in the world. We have the greatest drones in the world. People don't know that. We have the greatest weaponry in the world. We have, in the case of President Zelensky, he'd like to have some Patriots. He'd like to have some Tomahawks, which are, lethal, one offensive, one defensive. But when you give somebody the right, very complex weapons, by the way. I mean, the Patriot, as an example, the other day you read that 5 missiles were shot. They were going 8,600 miles an hour. Think of it, 8,600. Now a car, if you go 60, it gets to be a little faster. If you go 100, 8,600 miles an hour, and they were big missiles. And they were shot at Jordan. And our guys were there, bing, 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 bing. 5. Bing, 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 bing. Right? I don't want to be minded. I had to be very careful. That would have been a great soundbite. Right? There were 5 missiles.
First of all, how hilarious is this? Trump talking about Iran's secret attack on our Jordanian base and how easily we deflected it. This is for all those people out there. Iran was going to launch their super secret duper missiles. They're just waiting. They're waiting. They were always waiting, remember? Well, they stopped waiting and they finally unleashed a secret attack. And here's Trump laughing about how easy it was to deflect it. I'm telling you. Guys, this tells you exactly what Trump thinks of the IRGC's military right now. Okay. I mean, they're all laughing about it. You have Hegseth and Rubio. They're all giggling about how hilarious this is, how little they can do. I'll just play that part one more time because this is hilarious. This is hilarious.
Big missiles. And they were shot at Jordan. And our guys were there. Bing, 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 bing. 5. Bing, 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 bing. Right? I don't want to be minded. 6. I had to be very careful. That would have been a great soundbite. Right? There were 5 missiles, and we shot all 5 down before they got close. Nobody else has that capacity. These weapons are incredible. We have to be very careful about letting somebody build them. It's very important now. We are building many plants now to make those, and the Tomahawk missile is the most incredible thing. It can go into a doorway. You can put it through a window of a house. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. You have to be very judicious, but you have to be very careful Now, we have not agreed to that. We're talking about it, but it's a hard thing to give away that kind of technology. And I don't think this would ever happen, but you know, there's people that you give that technology and they can someday turn on you. You know, that is possible. If you look at war, it's happened a couple of times over the years, right? So we have to be very careful. I mean, we guard that. We have the greatest military in the world, but we have the greatest weapons in the world. Now we have to make them a little bit faster because we've given a lot away. You know, President Biden, unfortunately, gave a lot away to Ukraine, and he gave, so did I. I mean, I gave them the javelins, the tank busters. Without the javelins, that war would have been a one-day war. It would have been over.
So Trump's basically taking back the Patriot missiles that they were going to give him. Zelensky wants the licensing rights to not only build Patriot missiles, but now the Tomahawks. He just keeps asking for more. And Trump, there's no way Trump's going to let City of London have that. Because if you give it to Ukraine, you're giving it to City of London. You understand? You're giving it to the globalists. And so Trump right here is letting them know, you're never going to catch up to us. We're not going to let you do this. We're not going to let you do it through the subterfuge of using Ukraine while they're trying to ramp things up. I mean, look at this. Ukraine managed to blow up 2 Russian generals in the heart of Moscow during a birthday celebration. So this is what Ukraine is resorting to. As Colonel Watkins calls it out, there's a terrorist state using suicide bombers. And by the way, you killed your dumbass female suicide bomber and 2 civilians. So it wasn't actually generals either. You guys see the propaganda with the Ukraine flag in here? And then the real people doing the works know the truth. It wasn't generals, it was civilians. But what are they doing? They're pushing this out there. They want you to believe Ukraine's winning because they're getting more and more desperate. This is starting to end. As Iran ends, Russia's getting empowered. Remember, we're allowing them to sell their oil. They're getting more money on the Russian side of things. Anybody who believes for a second that Russia's losing this war is nuts. It's nuts. And if you believe that, well, you're believing these people. And the more this is coming out, we're going to deep dive this one of these days, but this is pretty crazy. Okay, so we're exposing NATO. And here's Putin talking about NATO, that NATO has created a tool as the Cold War and the fight against Soviet Union, the Warsaw Pact. Now there's neither the Soviet Union nor the Warsaw Pact, but NATO exists. Why? It's a tool of the foreign policy of the U.S. Well, that's partly true for what our foreign policy was, but it's also the tool of the globalists. And just a reminder of who started NATO. Criminals in Nazi Germany were rehabbed and elevated to the highest positions of NATO's command and leadership. Here's some of the people originally in NATO's leadership. Adolf Hussinger, Hans Speidel, Johann Steinhoff, Johann von Klemsmager, Ernst Faber, Karl Schneil, Franz Josef Schulz, and Ferdinand von Seiger und Etterlin. These were all Nazis. You see them in their Nazi drab? This is who we're dealing with, folks. This is who we're dealing with. This is the globalist. This is NATO is their tool. They're trying to get NATO to have to invoke Article 5. This is what the ramp up is in Ukraine. That's why Trump is fighting this war on so many different fronts, and why so much of this is an information war, and why it's important to understand we're only getting crumbs. You have to know that not everything we're getting tells us very much. We have to put the pieces together. We have to watch the track record. Again, that's why I trust the man, not the plan. I mean, I trust his plans, but you guys understand what I mean. I'm following Trump's lead on all this stuff because at least we know who our real enemy is. And once you understand that, everything else makes a little bit more sense. Once you understand what Trump's doing, it all makes a little bit more sense. And this also includes the continued ramp up of attacks on Cuba and exposing Cuba. Here's Rubio continuing the push to expose Cuba.
Interest. How did we get to a place where Cuba has become so much of a threat, it feels like, again, to the United States?
I think for those who have followed the issue of Cuba, this is not unfamiliar to us, but to the average American, you see Cuba, small country, 90 miles off our shores, 9.5 million people population. What people forget that when it comes to things like espionage and influence operations, they actually are an influence and espionage superpower. If you look at the history of espionage in the United States, Cuba is the only country that consistently has implanted and embedded spies in our system without even paying them. We had an ambassador, a U.S. ambassador, who ended up being a Cuban spy and was recently convicted. We've had them penetrate the highest levels of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Ana Belén Montes was one of the single biggest intelligence failures on the part of the United States and one of the biggest penetrations we've ever had in our system. So, and then on the influence front, if you look all throughout Latin America, every communist left-wing insurgency that's destabilized governments across the region, every single one of them over the last 40, 50 years has found its support, its help, in many cases its birth, from a Cuban influence operation. So it was an important report just to highlight the role they play in our country, a very negative role.
The report also links Cuban influence to the rise of Antifa, the riots that we saw in 2020, as well as the surge of radical activism.
Wild. I mean, what he said here, having a U.S. ambassador who was a Cuban spy recently convicted, calling them a superpower for embedding spies for infiltration, just crazy stuff. And why does this all matter? See, it all ties together. Iran, Cuba, Ukraine. There's a great post on it. Rubio maps the system. Iran was never built to stay inside Iran. It was built as one outpost used to control the region through Hamas, which is right next to Israel, Hezbollah in Lebanon and beyond, the Houthis right next to the Strait by Saudi Arabia, and every other proxy you could find. While Israel became the opposing outpost, two permanent enemies locked together to keep the Middle East divided, armed, and trapped in endless war. That was the game. Keep both sides alive, both sides afraid, keep the fighting contained enough to continue, and make sure neither side ever wins enough to end it. Now the game board is collapsing. China and the City of London need Hormuz open because their oil, shipping, and money depend on it. But they can't surrender Iran without losing one side of the control system. And they can't let Israel lose its permanent enemy without losing the other. Venezuela is no longer the backup plan. Hormuz is a choke point. Iran's losing its grip, and every move now makes their position worse, not to mention Cuba's on deck. Keep Hormuz closed and the system slowly chokes. Open it on American terms. Iran loses its biggest weapon. Remove the Iran-Israel boogeyman loop, and the whole regional control model starts coming apart. It's a game theory trap. Every move leads closer to the same end. A noose on one side, lethal injection on the other. Exactly. It's all connected. It's all connected. And so why is Trump doing what he's doing? We're weakening Iran more every day, sometimes militaristically, but every day economically. Setting it up so that people can take over, allowing the other nations in the area to have a say, allowing them to have a stake in the game, allowing sovereignty to spread. Sovereignty is the way we defeat City of London, the globalist plan, even China's plans. It's a way you defeat it long term. We could short term knock out it all, but if we don't establish a new world by letting these other nations rise up and become their own strong nations, within context of how big they are, of course, but they get their own strength. They get their borders. They build up their financial systems and new ties to each other. And they're not reliant anymore on the old financial system that was tied and controlled by City of London. You remove all that, you build these nations up, and that creates lasting change, lasting peace. And sure, in 40, 50, 100 years, well, we could be fighting this fight all over again. Who knows? But the point is, this isn't the kind of fake peace. This isn't the kind of fake operation that only creates something that'll last a year, 2 years, 5 years. This is something that lasts for generations. That's why Trump's doing it the way he's doing. And it takes more time. It takes more time. It takes patience. But again, when you understand all of this, it makes it so much easier to understand what Trump's doing here. And when it's all said and done, folks, his record speaks for itself. Trust the man. He's gotten us this far, and I believe he'll get us much further, and we still have a future ahead of us that's better than what any of us have experienced before. And that's not just for us. It's for many, many other nations who accept the call and the opportunity to become sovereign. All right. Hit that like and subscribe, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Got way more to get into. We're going to talk about some of these financial tools in the next segment with what Bascent is pulling off. So hit the like, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, you guys can always go in the description, click the link to the Patreon, try out the membership free for 1 month, and then you can decide if you want to stick around and keep supporting the channel. Let me get into the chat and make sure I'm catching anybody who's sending questions or comments over. Anybody who's tagged me. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm with you guys. Cat Crazy says, I agree with this. Trump's a businessman. He'd rather have reliable and compliant partners than lifelong enemies. If anybody could do it as Trump, he can work with anybody. 100%. Absolutely. Lil Roo says, I don't understand how any time anyone can look at what's happening and think they know better than Trump. Agreed. That's the hubris. It's a hubris that people believe that they know with their scraps of information. They understand things better than the leader, the most powerful man in the world, the person who has access to more information than any of us will ever have. That is hubris. That's arrogance. Howard Garden says, gas could be $10. I'd still support ending the IRGC. There you go. Good stuff. All right. Well, not seeing too much, guys, and that's all right. That's all right. Sometimes people just enjoying the conversations here in the chat, and that's all good. All right. OK Sooner does say, what troubles me is the Muslims invading our country, like in Dearborn, 40,000 street all over Texas, like an invasion from within. Well, the invasion part has stopped because the border is closed and legal immigration is getting harder. And also we're kicking a lot of them out for basically, being terrorists. So a lot of the extremists are getting pushed out. They're being denaturalized, et cetera, stuff like that. But if what we need to do is not overreact to how bad things were and we're getting leading up to this point, what we need to be doing is watching and seeing what the administration's current policies are doing to push it back and make sure that the bleeding is stopped, and then the healing can begin. Let's see that. I can tell you one thing, that the rise of Christianity in our nation is happening faster right now than the rise of Islam. It's coming, like we are having a revival that's coming back. And yes, they tend to breed all that, but so do Christians. Conservative Christians are breeding at almost the same rate as Muslims. So all that to say, guys, I watch that stuff carefully, but I do think, it's part of the plan to make this nation get it back on track with our culture, and that if it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, it will hold all that in check. So that's what we need to watch out for. But let's see where we are in 2 years, 3 years, because it's not growing fast enough to overwhelm our nation for decades. Even at the rate it was going, it would have taken at least 10 to 15 years still. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. All right, guys, let's keep moving because I got a lot to get to. We still got 3 more segments coming, and a couple of them are pretty big. There's a lot of information going on right now. So, for those paying attention, if you guys watched my live last night with, what was this? Oh, I just had a thing pop up. It said Mitch McConnell's dead, but it's not. It's not legitimate. That got my mind. I think he's brain dead at this point, if he's not full on dead. But Okay. What I was trying to say is if you guys watched my thing last night, it was a warning for people who are seeing some of the scariness in the markets, especially with what's happening with Japan right now, because we are so tied up our markets are so tied up in Japan's, the carry trade with Japan's currency, that if there's major shocks there, it could tank the system. Okay. And that could be what the globalists want. Because heading into the midterms, an economic crash would be one of the worst things that could happen to Trump and the Republicans. So, are they planning that? Well, last night was the warning of what's possible on the bad side. All right. Today, I want to talk about how this might be being mitigated by the Trump administration. The Trump administration might be holding it off. So, okay, real quick before I go on, I do see a question I want to answer before I go on. Well, thanks, Reef Keeper. That means a lot. Robin asks, how do we suggest we explain data centers are key to our country's reindustrialization to those who took the CCP narrative bait? It's going to be tough. People who are anti-data centers, a lot of them are going to have to be shown, not told. And all I would say to them is like, well, I would first acknowledge their concerns, and I would say there are real concerns about data centers. However, you just be honest about you. Say, be like, but I've been hearing and I've been seeing a lot of good data that they might not be as dangerous as we thought. They're not using as much water as we've been told. They are, some of them can be used later. Once the AI growth is through, they can be used for other industry as these giant warehouses. And then you could also say like, and also I see a major energy push being coupled with them. So in Georgia, there's places where property taxes are now being eradicated because of the data centers. In other places, their energy bills are going down. Yes, in some places they've still gone up. And you say, but I just, you just be honest with them. Like, I'm going to see it play out a little bit more. I don't think it's as, so just say that, like offer both sides. Okay. Let's get into this. So, last week, we got all kinds of warning signs about the markets. Why? Because Japan and the carry trade, which is using their currency basically for cheaper finances, cheaper money to be in the system. If that unwinds as Japan reevaluates their currency, keeps trying to fix it, raising rates, if that all happens, it becomes less cheap. There's a carry trade that'll unwind, and it could be devastating for us. We know with the midterms coming up that the Trump administration is in a much better place than they should be historically for an incumbent president heading into their midterms. Usually it's a bloodbath. And Democrats are trying to move forward on that with all the stuff, the confusion about the Iran war, people not trusting Trump on this, gas prices being elevated, and they weren't gaining. So, what is one of the things the globalists would want to do? Tank the markets. It's a great way to knock out the Trump administration and the Republicans heading into the midterms. But it looks like we're starting to head it off. Now, Scott Bessent, why do you guys think Scott Bessent was put in place for all this? Well, the man did used to work for Soros. He helped orchestrate the attack on the British pound in the 90s. It made a lot of money for these people. Bessent was in the enemy's camp, and then he came back over. Do you think anybody understands currency manipulation better than Scott Bessent? Anybody understands the globalist plans for the economy and financial markets better than Scott Bessent? Who better to have on your team to fight back? Well, Bessent just offered this up last night. The Trump administration is delivering for America's trusted partners. Economic security is national security, which we've seen this in how they're fighting the Iran war economically. And the U.S.-Japan alliance is built on both. Friday's coordinated foreign exchange actions counter disorderly yen movements. Treasury remains attentive and in close communication with our partners at MOF and BOJ. We will not hesitate to participate in further joint intervention. That is important. That's a message to the markets, but also to the City of London system, the globalist system. America's not going to let Japan collapse. Well, that's going to bring a lot of confidence into the markets. You see the markets soaring today, but it's also a shot to them. You're not going to be able to break us. Interesting. The FEMA repo facility is an important backstop. We would encourage it to be upsized in the coming months. We strongly support Japan's decisive market and monetary steps to correct the substantial undervaluation of the yen. Takaichi government is moving into an exciting new phase of Abenomics as nearly 15 years of powerful stimulus that have created durable, robust underlying economic dynamics. Takaichi government. This is basically Japan got their Trump. She's a woman. Trump loves this woman. What are they doing? They're fixing their financial system. And what Bessent has basically said is that we're going to do everything we can to make sure this adjustment happens smoothly and doesn't destroy our markets. So the question is, will they be able to? That's a great question. Tyler Neville writes this, and I thought it was good. I'm pretty sure Bessent just told us it's game on. The new policy is volatility control for FX and rates, reasserting global boomer Ponzi. But the purpose is to rebuild a 21st century economy and solidify new allied world supply chains. Every time you see put skew gets extreme, investors betting on global yields rising, you should expect a state response now. Inevitable outcome is lower volatility in FX and rates, just like QE from the Fed. But QE was printing money. This is not. They might have gotten rid of forward guidance from the Fed, but this move by the Treasury is global volatility control, which will now lower global cross-currency volatility. In other words, stability for the markets and an inability of the City of London and the globalists to destabilize whenever they feel like it, to use it as a control mechanism to hurt whoever's in control. Policy is now to grow out of the government debt, not blow up the global life insurance business model. High cross-currency volatility is what will bring the global insurance asset recycling to its knees. Bessent just backstopped the model, making it a slow death by inflation rather than a carry trade unwind crisis. Somewhat similar to the reverse trade of when Bessent broke the Bank of England. Huh! Funny how this all makes sense, doesn't it? And the people paying attention can understand it. It's amazing what the Trump administration has done. Bessent is one of the keys. Trump, all of his cabinet members matter. Don't get me wrong, because so much needs to be fixed. But the most important cabinet members have been Bessent at Treasury, because Trump understands all war is economic war, while also rebuilding our economy for the future. That's Bessent, and that is arguably the most important role. Rubio, State Department, all the negotiating, all the exposing of global, of all of our foreign policy, that's Rubio. It's extremely important, and Rubio gets it. Why? Because Rubio understands communism better than any of these people. And communism is the Fabian Society or City of London, their way of ushering in change into countries so they can control them, centralize them. Rubio understands that. Hegseth, the man who is passionately rebuilding our military, making it stronger than ever, more lethal than ever. And they all hate him so much. And then Kash Patel. I mean, you could say Todd Blanche because he's Attorney General, but under Blanche, Kash Patel. So Blanche and Patel together. They are so important because they are unwinding the fraud and the crime here in America from the base level up. Arrests, exposure, building RICO cases, investigations, etc., etc. And you notice how all these are the people most attacked? Absolutely. But again, Bessent in Treasury, very rarely has our Treasury Secretary been one of the most important people, but Bessent is. Listen to Bessent here talking about how we're beating Iran with the economic
fury to economic fury to constrict
our economic warfare, I should say.
To economic fury to constrict on your orders, constrict the Iranian regimes, the financial tentacles all around the world We started it on your orders. We started in March 2025. In December of 2025, the largest bank in Iran collapsed. The central bank had to print money, caused inflation. Now they got 180% inflation. They aren't able to pay their troops. And on your orders, we are searching for their assets all around the world, and that money will go to the Iranian people, Americans who have been harmed by the Iranians, whether the USS Cole or the barracks in Lebanon, or it will go back to when the Iranians attacked these ships coming out. So it's been a privilege to be part of that, and I look forward to the rest of it.
Thank you.
What did Bassent just say? The largest Iranian bank has collapsed. That is a big deal, folks. That's a big freaking deal. We're searching for their assets around the world, and that money will go to the Iranian people. Their central bank had to print money, and now they got 180% inflation. It's amazing what this man is pulling off. And who understands all the debt using all this better than Trump? Businessman, real estate guy. Yeah, he's had several companies go bankrupt because Trump understands debt. He understands how to wield it as leverage. He understands this is why he's personally never gone bankrupt. The man gets it. 80 years old, billionaire, doing it through the system. Him and Bassent together, powerhouse team. Now this is in response to what Bassent's doing with the carry trade. They're from Tom Luongo, who I would, along with Bam, is probably the smartest people about markets I've ever met. Usual suspects will scream QE and YCC. And I'll remind everybody that the BOE, Bank of England, and ECB, European Central Bank, and subsidiaries have been doing this for over 4 years, using our bonds as a tool to control both FX rates and the bond spreads within a tighter corridors to their advantage. Trump blew the trade up by attacking Iran and shutting down his global network of shadow banks. And again, why does Iran matter so much? There's so many reasons. That's the answer. It's reason after reason after reason. But ultimately, Iran is the key to ruining their financial system, which was their greatest strength. Bassent supporting Japan by selling U.S. euro reserves, which frankly we don't need. They went to war against us. We're returning the favor. As a result, is as expected. From the beginning, these people all told you what the plan was. Extend and pretend. Bleed Trump out on time, just like they're bleeding Putin out on time on Ukraine. Ukraine's the model. Trump the target. Iran's the focal point. If Trump went into this blind, as those Durar bears believe, then this would not be happening today. Exactly. If Trump went into Iran blind, they wouldn't have so much knowledge on how to fight the economic game. And this is what we're dealing with. And this is the financial network. How much it actually affects us, not only in our markets, not only by controlling our government, but all these areas, NGOs, groups, protesters, etc. Look at this list. Organizations funded by Soros and his Open Society Foundations. By the way, Soros is one of them. Globalist, City of Londoner. But, guys, he's a pawn as well. He's a big pawn. But at this point, Soros is the face of their funding. But there's no way he's the only one. There's no way he's able to have these unlimited resources. They're funneling it through Soros. And once you understand that, it makes a lot more sense how Soros has so much control in so many areas, and it seems never ending. They have a face. Many of them are faceless. ACLU, Black Lives Matter, Planned Parenthood, Media Matters, Move On, Southern Poverty Law Center, Antifa, Color Change, Democracy Alliance, ProPublica, Emily's List, Neural, Nation Institute, dozens more. All of these leftist infiltrated, leftist controlled, wild. This is how they buy the narrative, protest, civil rights industry, open borders push, media hit pieces, political machine, same money, same network, same agenda has been flooding Ireland, UK, where people get shafted on housing, safety, and identity. And America, obviously. But this is the Irish Patriots calling us out. Look over here. Amnesty International, Arab American Institute, Muslim activists, sojourners, free press, feminist majority. It just makes so much sense when you see it, doesn't it? It's how they've been controlling us and subverting us for years, folks. This is how they do it. And, you know, it's so obvious, and it makes so much sense why we fight this financially. You notice how so many of these have lost so much of their power since Trump came in. Cleaning it up. And one way he's cleaning it up is by retaking the Fed. As Kevin Warsh now in the Fed is making some of the biggest changes we've seen. This is how you can't get rid of the Fed yet, because you need Congress to vote for it. That's not going to happen anytime soon, folks. Sorry, but if you have been paying attention to the Senate, you know they suck. They're not going to pass it. Trump can't unilaterally get rid of the Fed. So what does he do? Puts a Fed chair in who's weakening the Fed. Breaking, Fed Chair Walsh considering reducing the amount of times the Fed meets in a year. Details include FOMC has met 8 times annually since 1981. 45 years of meeting 8 times annually. You know what that does? It manipulates the markets. Every time the Fed speaks, markets move. Every time they raise rates or call out a rate hike or a rate stability, stay the same, markets move. They have been wielding power they were never supposed to have. Federal law only requires 4 meetings a year. Fed Chair Walsh has reportedly not proposed a specific number of meetings. Fewer meetings mean fewer scheduled rate votes and less frequent policy decisions. A major shift is underway at the Fed. This is from Kobisi, which is no fan of Trump. But they see this. They see what Warsh is doing. Less meetings means less power being wielded over the economy. This is all part of the plan, guys. All part of it. Going back to the networks and making changes on all this financial power. Luongo writes, now you know the first thing this admin did was take down USAID. 90% of the nonsense we wade through daily on this app is downstream from this. Good news, a lot less taxpayer money is funding their own replacement, gaslighting, and extinction. I use the phrase the world is healing for a reason. It's a process, not a step function. This is a very important reminder. These things take time. But again, all these people, like the Soros funders, these networks, all that funding, a lot of it was USAID being laundered. And this is in response to this. Marco Rubio confirms they have evidence mass protesters come out for different protests like anti-ICE are all the same protest groups. It's funded and organized, absolutely. But you pull USAID and it starts going away. Change happens as inertia is overcome, the war chest drained. That's why the demoralization campaign must be seen for what it is and resisted at all times, even if you miss one here or there. Extremism in the defense of civilization is not a vice. It's actually the highest civic virtue. Exactly. And as he says, the demoralization campaign, this is the blackpilling campaign. Get you to worry, get you to nonstop be, nothing's happening. It's not happening fast enough. I posted a bunch of deportation numbers the last couple of days. You know what people are writing me? Instead of celebrating that we're at record rates, instead of celebrating that the Trump administration has done stuff at every level to lower even legal immigration, and we've deported over 4 million people so far since Trump became inaugurated. Instead of celebrating that, you know what I get? It's not enough. It needs to be 1 million a month. This is unacceptable. These people have no idea what they're saying. Instead of celebrating progress, they are focused on, it's not perfect, it's not exactly what I want. And they're blackpilling. These are people who have bought into the demoralization campaign, which is exactly what they want. Because if you're demoralized and you choose not to celebrate progress, you become discouraged, you don't show up to vote, and they get back into power. That's what happens. And that's what happens when you blackpill. But Trump is getting a lot of wins. And what him and Bessent are doing is working. Manufacturing numbers came in today. Listen to this.
If we look at manufacturing, these are fresh July reads from the ISM on manufacturing. Comes in much better than expected, 55.6. That would be the best read in over 4 years, since May of 22.
Best read in 4 years. Economic activity in the manufacturing sector expanded in July for the 7th consecutive months. That's Trump's policies, folks. Manufacturing PMI registered 55.6% in July, 2.3 above the June figure and the highest reading since May 22. This is winning. This is how you win. This is how you make us more sovereign going forward and bring wealth back to the middle class and the American people. President Trump's unleashed oil on the West Coast. As Trump posted, the Defense Production Act, he's forcing the West Coast, which is California, forcing them to reopen refineries. Using Defense Production Act, Trump admitted order restart of Sable offshore pipeline and Santa Ynez unit, 50,000 barrels of oil per day, strengthens supply for West Coast military bases, cuts dependence on foreign oil, overrides California's radical anti-energy regulations. This is what we want. Use the Defense Production Act to override their nonsense. 4 reactors in the last month, July, have gone critical. That's nuclear energy, folks. You want cheap energy? That's how you get it. The machine that protected Fauci for 6 years is now aimed at your morale. They can't beat Trump, only you. I love that. But yes, the reactor is going critical. Rebuilding our nation. It's incredible stuff, folks. Incredible stuff. But they're not going to stop, and the demoralization campaign will continue. As you see here, John Brooks, they're freaking out about an upcoming housing crash, which could crash our economy. Everyone keeps saying this isn't 2008. They're right. They're asking the wrong question. FHA delinquencies are at 12%. Foreclosure filings up 32%. People who stretched the furthest to buy during 22-24 are running out of room. This isn't banking crisis, first stage of consumer balance sheet crisis. Or is it? You understand that there's context needed here. In 2008, they started crashing banks and Americans were losing their homes. But in 2026, when you have 4 million illegals leaving and many legal immigrants leaving, as Luongo says, or maybe it's not this crash coming, but it's the illegals who are given ninja-style loans under Biden are actually leaving. It's important. Which would mean instead of a housing crisis, we'll enter a housing glut. And people will be able to buy up cheaper houses. Context matters, folks. And this is why I constantly try to show you guys a broader picture. I can't ever show you the whole picture, and I'm not claiming I do, but I show you as much as I can and as much makes sense to me. Context matters. People throw out stuff all the time. This is happening. This is happening. And I'm like, okay, but what's different about the last time it happened? You see, we found out, and I covered this on my show a few months ago, that under Biden, immigrants were being given crazy cheap loans, no down payments, no foreclosures if you weren't paying it. Some of them hadn't paid for 2 or 3 years. This was a massive exposure as Biden weaponized the government to enable immigrants to have housing much cheaper than Americans by the hundreds of thousands. And now they're leaving. Now they're being forced out, or they're choosing to leave because it's getting so uncomfortable, and they're bailing on these. While at the same time, Trump has Bill Pulte, our ODNI, who is now stepping down today in charge in place of, or for Jay Clayton to take his place. But he, spent time there, but he's still in charge of the FHA, federal housing, still in charge of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. He is cleaning the books up. And so as the illegals are leaving or being pushed out of their homes, it looks like housing is crashing, delinquencies, foreclosure filings. But when you add in the context of the illegals leaving, this makes a whole lot more sense. Whole lot more sense. And it's a win instead of a loss. And that brings us here. All this financial warfare going on, but the real panic ends, I should say, the people who know their time is ending, is City of London. The financial district, the financial system of the globalists, of Davos, of the EU. They are going through it, and a lot of it's because of Iran. And this post writes, City of London is preparing for the biggest financial bloodbath in decades. High-level figure from City of London's Lord Belgrave broke silence. City of London isn't just financial district, it's a separate jurisdiction, its own police military system, effectively a country of its own, a center of London, controlled by elite global network. No government fully oversees, and it runs global finance. I love when people actually understand it. Makes it so much easier for me. This man has sat in the closed-door meetings for decades. Every time he quietly shared what was discussed behind those doors, it eventually played out exactly as he said. Look at his previous post. He laid out exact sequence. Oil turmoil, yen carry trade unwind, liquidity crisis, systemic event. He even posted the euro sign with the Japanese yen. Today, Washington stepped in hard, dumping euros to buy yen, coordinating with Bank of Japan, while Japan and others dumped dollars. Happening in real time. Latest image, 2 swans, both bleeding, is a clear signal yet. City of London's preparing for full bloodbath. Pressure is so extreme they're intervening to stop the cascade. Elites already know their position. Bloodbath is no longer a theory. Fiat era is nearing its implosion. Here's what he posted right here. But the question is not, is City of London going through it? Because they are. Trump has put the full attack on City of London. The real question is, how much are we going to suffer from this? And what I believe is going to happen, what I believe it's starting to look like, is they might be able to tank the markets a little bit. They might get in a little bit and allow this to happen, but ultimately, they're the ones who are going to suffer the most. And because we have Trump and his economic general, Big Gay Patton, as Tom Luongo calls him, at the helm, two of the greatest financial geniuses of our time who understand the system and understand what's happening, because we have them there, I believe we're going to come out of this just fine. And despite whatever blip we experience, it'll be short-lived. We'll get through it. And they might even avoid it for the most part. But as a result, you see, when markets collapse, it opens up opportunity, all kinds of opportunity. And the Trump administration knows this. They're ready for it. Buy up for the U.S. government, a lot of assets for the strategic reserve, Bitcoin, gold. Gather up as much as you can while it's on sale. Put that in there. But also, and then you got some to back the dollar, by the way. But also, you can make serious changes. You can get the corrupt people out. You can have an excuse because the people want relief. You have an excuse to remake the system quicker. City of London, again, is in between a rock and a hard place. Let this happen and hurt Trump before the midterms, maybe, just maybe, get our last-ditch win, but also seriously hurt ourselves, or allow Trump to keep bleeding us out without any harm done to their administration. It's a very tough place to be because we have, because of the globalist system, basically mutually assured economic destruction. That sovereignty and Trump's policies is actually starting to protect us from the fallout of that. But for them, they have no protection. It's going to go down. And because we have the best team possible to help us out in all this, my theory is it's going to go down really bad for the globalists, affect us a little bit, but ultimately end up being a very good thing where we can take our new economy, our new financial system forward and see really great things for the next several years and maybe even decades and generations. That's what I think is coming. Okay, guys, hit that like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this. Got a lot more coming. We got our midterms update coming up, showing you how the Democrats are panicking more than ever, including Bill Maher ushering a warning to the Democrats about the commies taking over their party. Yeah, that's a big sign. And then, of course, we still got a grifter report coming because they went all out this weekend. So don't touch that dial. Lots to come. A couple super chats came in. Sven, $5 super chat. Thank you, Sven. Says the demoralization op will continue until morale improves. Black pillars have type 2 summer 25 onset TDS. It's a newer variant. I love that, man. Thank you for the super chat and great comment. Great comment. Chiosab with a $5 super chat says, we have a lot of these illegal owned homes abandoned here in Long Island, New York. We're cataloging them to make banks bulk offers to buy the mortgages. Brilliant. That's smart. Yeah, because you'll get them at a discount. It's a perfect time to move in. And again, guys, every crisis is an opportunity. And the smartest people understand that. So awesome, Chiosat. Well done. Violence says, suffering here in America will be related directly to how much they can induce a panic and cause a sell-off. That is part of it, for sure. But it's also, most of the panic will be from those who are over-leveraged and are scrambling to fix their issues, which is short sellers, etc. Good stuff, I noticed a big old troll came in the chat while I was talking, which is awesome. I love when they come in. So of course deleted them, but, or blocked them, but, just great. Means we're over the target. Always love that. $2 super chat from Chiosep says, buy the mortgage is cheap. We foreclose and make money. Well, there you go. Whatever works, as long as, it's good for the people. And, I don't care if the financials, they get hurt from their stupid policies. G Shell says, I'm finally seeing Americans with construction instead of illegals jobs and teens back at fast food places. I can tell you here in North Carolina, there is a push that's very healthy of teenagers getting back to work. My kids, their friends are all starting to get jobs. And I did not see this for a few years. For a few years, it seemed like every teenager I knew was sitting on their butts. And now they're all starting to get back out there, which is very good. It's another sign we're healing. We're healing. DJ says release of rest of the Epstein files could trigger a mass crash to market too. A lot of millionaires and billionaires could get exposed. Maybe. I got to tell you, I have doubts about that. I think the Epstein files, as we were told they would be by podcasters and people who said they're in the know, I have a feeling they're just not as salient as a lot of people wanted us to believe. But who knows? It is possible. It is possible. I do think eventually when we get everything left from Epstein files, which eventually will come, I think it'll be more about getting the final proof on some select powerful people, but not necessarily a ton of them. And that's kind of what I think is more possible. Howard says, Trump should say the Iran conflict is transitory and Dems will go away. They use it constantly, but we can't. I love that. That's hilarious. All right. Pompeo is terrible. Yeah. Okay. Let's get into it. Because we got so much more to get to, guys. So much more. I told you, this is a wild weekend. Wild weekend. Okay. Let's talk about leading up to the midterms. Now, the midterms are very important because it's going to be a signifier for a lot of things. I mean, it's going to tell us kind of where the nation's at based on the voting. It's going to tell us, it's going to expose a lot. Let's just put it that way. If the Democrats somehow pull off the House, it just tells us that, in my opinion, what it really tells us is that there's not enough people fully awake yet. Because I believe the rigging is nullified enough for us to win if we show up. It's not that it's fully stopped, of course, but it's enough. It's enough to win an election. 2024 proved that to us. And it's even better now with Trump in charge. So that's what it tells me at the House, which means more to come. Okay. As the economy improves, I don't think it's the end of the world, but if we win the midterms, if we win the House and the Senate, I think the Senate's going Republican. So that's why I don't talk about it too much, But if we win the House, it tells us that the American people are ready to go all in. And Trump will know that and act accordingly as well. So, but that's, either way, it's a big deal. And for the City of London, the Davos globalist side of things, to them, the midterms are the end all be all, because they know demographically how bad things are getting for them in 28 and beyond. It is really, really rough looking ahead for Democrats, deep staters, globalists, really bad for them. They know Trump's economy is eventually going to boom. They know this because everything they've done has been trying to slow it down. They know we're all getting stronger with sovereign wise. They know every day more of them are purged from our government, from our nation. More is exposed every day. They know all this. 2 more years of that, 2.5 more years of that from here is very, very bad for them. They know all this. So it is win the midterms or bust for them. And if they lose, it's pretty much the end. It doesn't mean they're fully done, but it means they are so weak. They really have nothing left to build on going forward. Kamala Harris as their nominee, anybody? That doesn't say panic. I don't know what does. But so looking ahead to the midterms, Trump put this out this morning. My real polling numbers, not those made up by the fake news, are the best they've ever been. And why wouldn't they be? With the biggest tax cut in employment numbers ever. Biggest outside investment in America and world history, totally secure border, giant victory in Venezuela, denuclearization of Iran, unparalleled respect and success throughout the world, and much more. Don't believe the radical left's fake poll numbers. They're crooked and corrupt, just like the country-destroying Democrats are crooked and corrupt. Vote Republican for greatness in America. Interesting. Why put that out this morning? Well, this weekend we had Trump say the whole Iran thing, we're putting a pause again for a deal. And then we get the narratives following it. People freaking out. People taco Trump. Neocons really mad. Everybody else saying he's weak. This is pathetic. How do you keep going back and forth? How do you trust Iran? Blah, 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 blah. And what does Trump do? This Monday, first Monday of August, heading into the midterms. Midterms exactly. Today is August 3rd. Exactly 3 months away. You think about that for a minute, guys. That is coming up fast. September, October, November 3rd. Boom. We're really fast. So what does Trump do? Don't believe any of it. Don't believe the psyops. Don't believe the narratives. I know more than they do. And this is either completely true or he's trolling them to panic, make them panic. Either way, great move. And it makes sense because right now, things are getting really bad for the Democrats. Really, really bad for them. For one thing, they're getting exposed. Remember the other day? Jersey coming out saying, we have illegals on our voter rolls. What was a glitch? Well, now, with that being said, we have Minnesota's has this thing called vouching that is now being put out for all to see. What is vouching? Well, in Minnesota, you can go up to the polling place and vouch for up to 8 unregistered people who can then vote without providing any proof of residency. How insane is that? 8 people, 1 person? Means I could go down to the illegal immigrant house in the other neighborhood, grab 8 of them, bring them to a polling place and say, hey, I vouch for these people. I know them all. And they'll just let them vote. How insane is this? But it shows you how desperate they are. As this writes, in regards to the mail-in votes and Trump's push through the courts to get USPS to be able to monitor these, Dems just F themselves so hard into a Supreme Court showdown over mail ballots should be studied as a masterclass in suicidal stupidity. Clowns couldn't stop suing. 23 blue state plus DC sprinted to that Obama-appointed hack. Indira Tawani in Massachusetts got Trump's ballot tracking order frozen. She wrote the Constitution forbids the president from making mailed ballots trackable because, get this, it might confuse or disenfranchise them. That wasn't enough. Same NGOs and blue attorneys filed a second lawsuit in DC for extra insurance. That's when the nuclear own goal detonated. DC court and DC circuit turned around, said the complete opposite. Challenged premature. Rules weren't final. Real harm was to the administration. Instant circuit split. SCOTUS yanked the case and ordered briefs by Monday. That's today. While the entire media circus and professional outrage machine stayed glued to the SAVE Act, the high drama 60-vote birth certificate circus can't get past Senate filibuster, the real, durable, lower friction win slipped right through the side door. Barcodes, real-time tracking, official election mail logos that work exactly like Amazon package confirmation every American already uses without crying racism. Federal gating via citizenship lists, chain of custody data that turns mysteriously disappeared red county ballots into prosecutable evidence instead of shrugged off glitches. No new voter burdens, no endless provisional ballot sob stories for the networks, no 60-vote Senate math, just existing postal authority turning Mailstream into auditable checkpoint that sticks once it's live. Progressives sued so hard in two friendly courts they accidentally deliver the higher value fight straight to the only court that can end it. Ruthless, self-inflicted, most delicious part, they still don't even realize how badly they just bent themselves over. Because again, the Supreme Court is very, very likely to uphold this. And then the Democrats are screwed. They should never have kept pushing this the way they did. And I love watching them crush themselves. Well, speaking of awakening, Bill Maher came back on Friday. For those who don't know, Bill Maher is one of the leading lefty voices in all of media. He has a lot more influence than his small show would suggest. People look to him, and he alone is more important for their narrative than pretty much all of CNN, MS Now, etc. And what did he do? He ran a whole segment on the DSA and how this is terrible for the Democrats. He is pissed and he's freaking out because he doesn't want this. I can't play the clip because Maher will copyright me. So I apologize for that. But I can read some of it right here. And this is how he started, by the way. Him sharing his own way. I'm on his own site. I'm not voting for anyone who thinks the wrong side won the Cold War or cheers for the Intifada like it's the World Cup. Keywords, I'm not voting for. Maher is coming out here and basically putting it out that the Democrat communist takeover of the Democratic Party, he will not support in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, is open to voting Republican in the future if this continues. As Maher said, Trump has told 1 trillion lies when he says the DSA are actual communists. That's not one of them. Ooh, this is going to lefties, people in the middle. It's not hard to prove it by quoting DSA and their candidates. Vance was on the show. I told him the Democratic Party keeps going in the direction my vote was in play. And all I heard all vocation was, oh my God, you're a Republican now. That's not what I said. Not a week goes by I don't read about some newly chosen, exciting new face in the Democratic Party. And then when that face opens its mouth, the Communist Manifesto or some crazy shit comes out. Again, let's read the quote. This is so good that he did this. DSA platform says, you work as much as you're able and no more than needed. That was closer to Karl Marx's dictum, from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs. They'd be sued for plagiarism. New York Mayor Mamdani once tweeted Karl Marx's words exactly. They're not trying to hide it. Their most popular influencer, Piker, thinks communism so groovy, he laments the fall of two of the most murderous regimes in history, Soviet Union, Chairman Mao's China. Guys, this is what I was trying to tell you when I was saying that Americans hate communism, even if they, as a majority, don't hate socialism the same way anymore because of the way they've been lied to, bad education, etc. But communism is a different thing. Communism is a bad word. And Bill Maher is one of those people who is giving us the proof of that. Even old school liberal Democrats do not want communism. And the fact he's willing to call it out like this is a big deal. Mamdani's aide said, if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize property, it's over. Impoverish the white middle class. What, that's a goal? You know you're supposed to scare people into voting for you, right? One of the new soon-to-be Democratic Congress people, Darlesia Chevalier, supports seizing all properties from landlords that seize the means of production. Mamdani said the end goal is seizing the means of production. I think they want to seize the means of production. He says, now maybe you missed that in school or missed school altogether, but that's communism. And I could get away with like 10 seconds of this. I can't watch the whole clip, but I do want to show you guys how he is so right here.
Now, maybe you missed that in school or missed school altogether, but that's communism. Now the
Again, this is important. This is a big deal. He says right here, he won't vote for Democratic leftists going full Islamist and communist. Big deal. And this is spreading. Scott Galloway, famous lefty again, prominent liberal, as Fox News calls him. Galloway, he goes out there and he's like trying to make it like Democrats can be manly, which is hilarious. We should all laugh about it. But he voted and supported Mamdani, and he's a New Yorker. And then Mamdani doxed him in last week's big announcement of all the places that are going to be taxed higher because of Mamdani's policies. Scott Galloway says he discovered his own name and address were doxed by the city's searchable database. Galloway backed Mamdani's proposed I can't pronounce it, but he argues publishing property owners' information turns legitimate tax parcel into a wanted poster. Galloway lamented the New York City mayor was vindicating conservatives' worst fear and making it harder for all progressives. Oh, uh-oh. You guys are finding out what communism is really all about? Funny. Here's Joe Manchin, former Democrat turned independent who was in the Senate for many, many years, freaking out as he's realizing more of his team, or the team he was on, have gone psycho.
Heather, could you ever support a self-described socialist candidate?
No.
No way. My God, no.
And
even if they have some good ideas?
Well, I support the good ideas, but how could you support some of the crazy stuff they're for? Have you seen their platform? They're for dismantling everything that we know, whether it be the structure of government, Congress itself, or the Senate they want to get rid of. And then they start talking about all the crazy things. No police, no this, no this, no that. Are you crazy? We want a crime-free area. We have to have police for that.
Yes.
We want a strong defense. We want a strong border. But if Democrats can't say that, and they start lining up with the socialist demands of what you are to be a socialist, energy will be gone. There'll be no energy, okay? We have right now a tremendous amount of energy we're producing, and the world depends more on us than ever before. We can do more.
Listen to Manchin. The dude won as a Democrat in West Virginia for decades. He might know what he's talking about. And then, of course, my favorite, the continual James Carville freakout. It keeps going, folks. He's Carville, the mastermind of the Clinton election, the man who coined the phrase, "It's the economy, stupid," knows elections better than any other Democrat and how to win them. And he has been on a tear the last couple weeks. Absolute freaking out over the DSA takeover, and it just keeps getting better. Here's the latest from Carville in his freak out tour.
Analyst there is, and I'm not sure what to understand what Madame is doing, but to talk about the larger Democratic Party post the election in Michigan going forward, I am not going to be in the same party with Hassan Piker. I can tell you that right now. If he becomes a force in the Democratic Party, I'm out of here.
Whoa!
I have no intention of ever being in the same political party with that guy. Now, I think that overwhelming majority of Democrats agree with me. But this idea that we're going to seize the means of production and just go look at the DSA platform. You don't have to look any further than that. And, Jackie, it may be that the two-party system is just going to be under tremendous stress here in the coming months. I mean, you see it with Tucker and Martin Taylor Greene, and on the Republican side, you see it going on right now. And I can't sit here and tell you for certain how this is going to turn out. But the one thing I can tell you for certain, Hassan Piker and James Carville are not going to be in the same political party. One of us is going to leave. It might even be me.
Woo! Wow. Those are some strong words there from Carville. Again, he tried, he tried to massage it a little at the end there. But here's the deal. Carville saying, we can't do this. This party can't exist with these people being in charge. That's really what he's saying here. And then, of course, he tried to throw in like Tucker and all that on the right. Guys, the difference is on our side, we're kicking those people out and they are losing power. They're losing influence. On their side, it's the opposite. They're being overrun and they're freaking out about it because this was supposed to be their midterms and they can't win with these people in control. People like Kamala. Now this is going to be their, this is currently their front runner again for 28. And what is Kamala doing? Because she's retarded. She's not learning any lessons from her loss. She's not figuring out how to moderate, to at least lie to the people. No, she's just joining the commies. And this, if Carville was pissed before, I don't think he's seen this yet.
We need to revisit the Electoral College. We need to revisit the point of expanding the court to 13 justices like we have 13 district courts. We need to
She did math, folks. She can do math.
If they so want, statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Yes.
If we regain control of the Senate, I served on this committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, when I was in the Senate. Only the second black woman elected to the United States Senate after Carol Moseley Brown. And the Senate Judiciary Committee has the power to create rules for its committee that don't have to go to the whole Senate for a vote and worry about filibuster and all of it. We need to revisit.
This woman is so stupid. This can help her win a primary, but she just created a new clip for whoever's running against her in 28, Rubio, Vance, DeSantis, whoever it is. She just created a new clip that's going to be a wonderful campaign ad to destroy her on the way to the presidency. She is retarded. This is not how you win elections, especially now. The progressive push reached its peak in 22 and 23 under Biden and is being beat back. Doubling down on it is going to get you destroyed. It just is. But, believe them when they tell you who they are. Here's Homan telling us exactly who these people are and what to expect from them if they come back.
This is simply politics. I really believe there's that faction of Democrats that believe we are ruining their long-term plans. When they opened the border for 4 years, and I've said this from day one, it wasn't mismanagement, it wasn't incompetence. They let millions of illegal aliens in the nation, release in the sanctuary cities. They also overturned the Trump census rule at the time, so they'll be counting the next census, which means more seats in the House for the Dems. They think they're future Democratic voters, and once the Democratic administration comes in, they'll award amnesty to the millions of people they let in 4 years. They sold this country off for future political power. There's no other reason you would open up a border the way they did and put this nation at great risk. The biggest national security vulnerability I've ever seen in this country. It wasn't by accident. And now ICE is making arrests and deportations at record numbers. They can't stand it because we're ruining their long-term plan. I really, truly believe there's a lot of truth to that. I don't think everybody on the left believes that, but there's those that do. Because
do you see what he said right there? Or was it? We're ruining their long-term plan. You think Homan knows? I think Homan knows. That is telling you exactly what the Trump administration is doing. Whether it's the Democrats, Davos, City of London, globalists, we're ruining their long-term plans. That is excellent. And I love that he said it.
I don't think everybody on the left believes that, but there's those that do. Because they cannot sit down and look me in the eye and tell me why did you agree or not fight against an open border? Why did you think it was a good idea to open the border up, bring millions of people into this country illegally? What would be the justification for that? And they can't give it to you.
You think there's a plan behind the whole thing?
Absolutely.
Well, a lot of people feel that way, and it makes sense.
Oh man, Dr. Phil. So many people. How many moms and suburban moms who are maybe consider themselves center, who they might have conservative values, but they don't necessarily like Trump or whatever. How many of them are watching Dr. Phil right now and watching home and break it all down like that? That is wild. This is the awakening, folks. When regular, very popular media people are telling you and allowing the truth to be spoken, that tells you that we're at a tipping point. We're at a tipping point. You got Bill Maher, you got James Carville freaking out about Democrats. You have Dr. Phil basically telling all his millions of viewers that this was planned operation by the Democrats. That's amazing. Amazing. And you guys are blackpilling? Who's blackpilling out there? Come on. Come on. Look at this. Wisconsin. They're about to nominate a total hardcore commie as the governor for the Democratic side. Unfortunately, once they get out of the primaries, support for Democratic Socialists among Wisconsin registered voters is -30. So Democrats is +44, but among all voters, -30. The GOP isn't this out of touch with the general population on literally any issue. They could lose Wisconsin, folks. That's what's happening because they're going so radical. They're turning off the regular people. That's crazy. That is wild. But, we got our own problems. The thing with Mike Lindell keeps getting worse. Here's some Lindell clips. This whole argument with immigration, Mike Lindell trying to figure out who he really was.
But this is just weird that Lindell is coming out because his policies are actually, and this is what's crazy about it, his policies are actually to the left of Tim Walz when it comes to immigration, which is just bizarre.
I would be doing the same thing as our current government's doing with Walz and them, protecting illegals and giving them these cards to vote in our elections and drive on our streets.
But this is just...
What is happening? Was Mike Lindell playing us all along? See, elections expose people. So let's keep an eye on this in Minnesota. I'm watching the whole Lindell thing closely, but it just tells you how infiltrated were we. I don't know, but I keep seeing this stuff come up with Lindell, and I'm waiting for a really good answer from him. I haven't seen it yet. So again, if they can't get the Democrats, they're going to try to sneak in through the Republicans. We can't let this happen now. I'm open to more on Lindell, guys, but I need to see more. It just keeps looking bad for him. Now, Keschel letting us know what Carville's really saying. And this is important because Keschel knows this stuff more than anybody, better than anybody else. He says, this is a hedge and one people should listen to. If Dems were winning Texas, about to flip the Senate, there'd be no possible way for this to be Carville's assessment. Imagine the reverse. Republicans were about to turn Minnesota Jersey red, and one of their talking heads came out complaining about messaging not living up to the hype. The below comment from a Republican would be on par with Romney 2012. He's absolutely right. I told you guys last week they're hedging. They're hedging their bets because they're terrified that the Republicans can pull this off. And that's why we're starting to see a lot of hedging in the media, and especially on the Democratic side of things. Keschel calls it out. And why not? Because they keep putting up people like this Troy Jackson guy. Remember last week, the cousin? He had 2 kids with his cousin. Well, James Blair, who is actually the mastermind behind the Republicans' election strategy this year, and was 2024, which he won, says everyone needs to relax. Troy Jackson did not marry his cousin. He just had kids with her. Show you how absolutely ridiculous all this stuff is with these people. It's just so crazy. It's so crazy, but it's hilarious. Oh man, makes me laugh. Now, if you haven't been paying attention this weekend, there was actually an attack on on our immigration policies from Nick Sorter started going after Mullen. Why? Well, it's funny timing because this happened right after the Spain, the push, the invasion of Spain, which Baccia covers here, where we had a stark visual of what the midterms are actually about. Spain saw an invasion of 60,000 migrants. Mamdani waged class warfare on middle-class homeowners. Fauci-led abuse of our civil liberties was revealed in its gory details. This is the Democrats' agenda, theft of your God-given right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Here's Baccia, and then we're going to talk about this immigration psyop that's going on right now.
It's less than 100 days until the midterm elections, which will determine who controls the House and the Senate, and whether President Trump and his cabinet spend the next 2 years legislating his agenda or fighting impeachment, which will certainly be the Democrats' first order of business. But this week gave us a stark visual of what a Democratic majority would look like. And it wasn't pretty. Take a look at this crazy video coming out of Spain, which was invaded this week by 60,000 Moroccans, mostly young men, streaming across the border after the border totally collapsed, as an official told the AP. This border collapse comes after Spain ruled that people who arrive illegally by boat cannot be deported. Spain also gave amnesty to more than 1 million migrants, the largest amnesty in European history. Naturally, when news about the amnesty program spread, tens of thousands more decided to take their chances at achieving European residency. Because that's what amnesty for people who cross your border illegally does. It incentivizes people to cross your border illegally because it is a reward for doing so. And if you think this can only happen in Europe, I urge you to think back to 2022. Remember these scenes? This is in Spain. This is the border with El Paso. That was just 3 years ago.
So insane.
Most Democrats will now admit that Biden opening the southern border was a mistake. But do you really trust them to keep it as airtight as Trump has? As for amnesty, it's an essential part of the immigration plan of even the most moderate Democrats. This footage from Spain is our future if the Democrats win in 2026. But it's not just immigration, of course. This week gave us other glimpses of what a Democrat majority would look like. In New York City, socialist Mayor Zoran Mamdani is waging class warfare on property owners. He published a hit list of 900,000 homeowners who he accused of owning a second home in New York and was targeting for a new tax. It was about 870,000 more than actually do own a second home. Hundreds of thousands of middle-class New Yorkers were doxxed as the rich enemy by their own mayor, deemed guilty unless they prove their innocence. What could be less American than punishing people for working their entire lives to achieve the most modest version of the American dream? Yet you can expect much more of this if the Democrats win in November.
She's so right. And, she's a little fear baiting because they won't have that much control if they win the House. But in 2028, that's the problem. And Baccia does great work. The only time she kind of loses is she's a little too Zionist for me, but she goes a little crazy when it's Israel stuff. But other than that, Baccia is great. And she nails this. It's, remember what's coming and what the Trump administration's done. So this weekend, Mullins came out and was clipped out of context. And then Nick Sorter, who's one of the big MAGA news sources, played that clip and started spreading the lie that Mullins, our DHS secretary, is in favor of amnesty. But the problem is like that doesn't hold up at all. And in fact, our DHS numbers are coming out higher and higher. In fact, Andrew Colbert reports just spoke to a source at DHS. A new report on deportations for the last 12 months dropped, which includes all deportation flights. Total alien forced departures, that's forced. That's not the voluntary, which is even larger. Almost 1.5 million. The last 7-day average is up to 4,300 a day. That's way up from the 1,300 a day under Kristi Noem. See, it's ramping up significantly. But one of the reasons we've had issues is where the numbers cooked. DHS numbers are probably higher. Word on the street, someone may have been cooking the books to make Trump look bad. but it's not pointing fingers, but it's probably not a coincidence. Mark Rosenblum, former executive director, DHS Office of Homeland Security Statistics, just quit on July 24th and said this: "I'm thrilled to end my relationship with current administration between war on immigrants, war on Iran, brazen corruption. I need a change." Funny, he left, and all of a sudden the numbers are almost triple what they were. Is it possible we have been deporting many more? And regardless, the numbers are still higher with Mullins in. And as Mullins came out directly, said no amnesty for illegal aliens ever. We're a nation of law. If you're illegally present in the United States of America, you'll be detained and deported. Why would they push this before the midterms? Well, before the midterms, Trump's greatest area where people love what he's doing is the border, is the deportations. It's his most popular aspect. So, of course, they're going to run a PSYOP campaign to try and make Trump look like he's ineffective and not getting it done and go after Mullen. That's what they mean. That's why it's happening. It's a push to try and take Mullins out because this is one of their biggest issues. And just like Homan said, this is disrupting their long-term plans. And one of the reasons they push this is because they are freaking out. The numbers keep coming back worse and worse for them. Scott Pressler, the guy who did a great deal, maybe is the reason Pennsylvania flipped because of his work on the ground, converting people to Republicans, writes this today: "I'm in tears, I'm screaming. Pennsylvania Department of State just conducted one of its biggest purges ever. Democrats lost tens of thousands of voters. It's happening, it's happening. Our work to clean the voter rolls is actually working. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. There's a massive earth-shattering earthquake of epic proportions. Wait until you see how close we are to flipping Pennsylvania blue to red. My heart sings a tune loudly for all to hear." Well, here's the numbers that just happened. Pennsylvania just did a voter roll purge, and Democrats lost 54,000 voters in their voter rolls in one purge last week. 54,000. GOP gained 30,000 because of this purge. Last week, Dems led statewide by 56,000 voters. The Democratic lead is now only 26,000 in a state where Trump won overwhelmingly. These are numbers they can't fake. This is not a fake poll. This is actual registration numbers. This is amazing, amazing stuff. And it tells you, remember, Democrats, Pennsylvania has a Democrat governor. The voter roll push is working even in Democrat states. Not all of them yet, but it's spreading. And the pressure is continuing to ramp up. This is huge. That's 54,000 votes now they cannot use. Remember, the voter rolls, why they're so important is because they are the connection. If you get a vote in, say, a state, Michigan has 1 million people vote, and there's only 800,000 on the voter rolls, well, then they have to match that, and they're going to have to get rid of 200,000 votes. But if they have 100 or million and 1.5 million people registered and 1.3 million vote, I mean, that's crazy high percentage of registered voters voting, but they can cover it. They say, oh, well, we have that many there. So every time a voter roll purge happens, these are taken off, that's less votes available for them to steal, to rig. So that's a huge, huge deal. And they're resorting to more and more cope. The lies are happening, folks. Multiple Dem Senate candidates are winning 20% of non-MAGA Republicans. Anybody actually believe this? Does anybody actually believe that Talarico is getting 24% of Republicans who don't consider themselves MAGA? Anybody believe that at all? This is how polls lie. As Seth Keshel writes, reminds me of the time Hillary was winning 40% of Republicans until she didn't. It's going to keep getting worse, guys, heading into the midterms. They're going to keep lying to us more and more, and we're going to have to work hard to see through the noise. This is what they're going to do. But despite everything Trump's doing and how we keep being told he's so unpopular, the truth is the people are waking up. Here's C-SPAN shocking them.
I'm going to be voting for Houston. I've been a lifelong Democrat, and I'm 72 years old, 72-year-old white male. And I've been a Democrat my whole life. This past primary in Ohio, I went and asked for the Republican ballot. which makes me a Republican now. There's many reasons for that, but if I could just be philosophical for just a minute, and thank you again for taking my call. This chicken, this Democratic Socialist movement, this chicken has been coming home to roost for a long, long time. And you have to go back to the source of what's going on. 35 or 40 years ago, the Democrats and Republicans together decided that they were going to shovel every job that they could shovel offshore that they did. And the ones that weren't bolted down, they shipped first, and then they've unbolted the rest of them and shipped the rest of them. So if you're a young person in this country, we don't make any textiles. We don't make any electronics. We don't make hardly any cars. We don't make hardly any pharmaceuticals. And so you've got a lot of young people who are seeing this wage gap. And by the way, I'm a Republican, and you're seeing this income gap. And so essentially they're fair game for this movement. They see this movement as an opportunity, if not to gain back some credibility or some life, a better life. They look at it as a way to burn the system down.
Okay.
And
Jeffrey there in Kent, Ohio, Republican.
Republican, but the first thing he said, I was a Democrat my whole life, and he switched over. This is happening to a lot of people. A lot of people. We're winning the narrative battle, folks. It is happening. The question I have is it happening fast enough for the midterms? That's something we'll have to see. Now, Trump, this is a very interesting story. So Axios is reporting that Trump isn't worried if Republicans lose Congress because he plans to rely on executive actions and pardons rather than legislation in his final 2 years. There's a couple ways to read this. A, it might be 100% true. I've been telling you guys, if they win the House, they're not going to be able to get much done. And they're not going to be able to slow Trump down that much. They'll do it a little bit, but he'll still have control of the DOJ. He'll still have control of foreign policy. He'll still be able to get his nominees through the Senate, et cetera, et cetera. He'll still have most of the power. They just won't be passing many laws, which might be a good thing. So I've told you guys this. This is exactly what I've been saying. Is it true Trump isn't worried? I actually believe this. I believe this. And also I believe Trump's allowing this to get out there now so that they know, you think you're slowing me down? I don't think so. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Does this mean Trump won't push for the midterms to win? No, of course he will, because it's better if we win. It's 100% better if we win. It shows the awakening is spreading faster. It completely demoralizes the Democrats, sets them back. It crushes them going into 2028 because they'll find out they have literally no influence left. There's going to be no energy in their party, all that. Okay. But so I don't think this means he doesn't care. I think Trump is allowing this out. By the way, Axios, and I say this all the time, they are left wing, but they have two reporters who get direct access to Trump. That's Barack David and Mark Caputo. And they tend to be pretty accurate when they report directly on Trump. Not when they're creating narrative, not when they're trying to, spout other nonsense. But this makes absolute sense to me because it's what I've been saying the whole time. And it should give you guys encouragement too. The midterms are not the end. They are not the end. But they are important. They're very important. And that brings me back to this. Oh yeah, it's a Q post. Sorry guys, going conspiracy here. I want you guys to see this though, because this is interesting. Think about this logically. The only way is the military. Fully controlled, save and spread. But here's the thing right here. Once 11/3 verifies his first marker, well, 11/3 is the date of this year's midterms. Interesting. Is it possible Trump's not worried because he knows it's going to be justice time? We lose the midterms or we win the midterms. It's ramp up time. Guess who's still in charge of the military, even if the Democrats win? Even if they won the House and the Senate, guess who's in charge of the military? Trump. Constitutionally, they will not be able to remove him. The people won't be behind it. The Supreme Court even won't go that far. Trump will be backed up, and he's still got the military. He's got the DOJ. You do the math. Again, the Q stuff's always interesting. It is not what people say it is as far as the people who've tried to debunk it. They're not telling the truth. And some of the people who are full on to the Q stuff, they also have taken stuff out of it. But the real effect of the Q posts were trying to give us insights into decoding things that were going on and also clues as to what the Trump administration wants to do. And this is very interesting to me that 11/3 is the date of the midterms, which would make sense if this is possible or this is in the works. It would add up to why Trump wouldn't be worried about what happens in the midterms. And of course, Trump, in the ultimate troll way, then posts this yesterday. Trump, Lincoln, Washington. As I've been saying for a while now, I do believe Trump is the third greatest president behind these two. And Trump now is backing us up on that. These three men, especially these two, because we already have the record on them, defeated British Empire, defeated City of London's influence in our nation, trying to split our nation, and doing the same thing again. Two men who changed the course of our nation, and a third doing the same thing. I absolutely believe this is just a little forecast of the future of how we'll look back one day and see Trump. Because I already feel like we're pretty much there. But wherever this goes, folks, I'm telling you right now that we are winning the midterms right now. I don't know what they'll pull out. I don't know how the House will go. I feel very confident about the Senate, but I do feel we're leading right now. A lot of the noise out there is just that. It's noise. And I'm going to take Trump's lead on this. I'm not going to be worried, but I'm going to fight just like him. But also know that this man has cards up his sleeve that we don't even think about right now. And that one way or the other, whatever happens in the midterms, we're still going to be in control. And Trump could still get most of his agenda through to 28. And then 28 is the final death blow for them. Because if they can't find a way to pull off 28, honestly, I don't see how they could. But if they don't figure that out, they're done. Because the census will then be under a Republican president or MAGA Republican president in 2030. And after that, the demographic change means 20, 40 years of Democrats being out of office. So their time is ticking and they know it. Okay, guys, hit that like and subscribe. We got a Grifter Report up next. And like I said, it's a big one. There's a lot going on this weekend. But let me get into the chat, answer your questions and comments, and then we'll move on to it. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats here. One of the many said $5 super chat. This is from an earlier part of the conversation. It says, young people should engage in blue collar jobs. There's shortages in many important industries. You'll make more than most without college overhead and debt. I agree with you 100%. Blue collar jobs are great. Great. You can make good living, have almost no debt to get involved in them. Yep. It's absolutely smart. My son is already looking at that. So let me see here, guys. Remember, guys, if you want to get my attention, please tag me so I can see it. It's very difficult not to. Very difficult to catch your comments with all this going on in the chat if I'm not tagged. And then if you want to support the show, you can always send a super chat, which is guaranteed to be read. Chio said with a $5 super chat, leading by example. Thank you, Chio. Says Trump planned this for 4 years, obliterate the deep state. He's relaxing, control, ready to fight and win. Wipe on, wipe off, wipe them out. I like that. That's great. That's great. Thank you, Bucko. I appreciate that. Cat Crazy says Dems have zero identity. They've twisted and contorted themselves so badly they have no idea what they stand for anymore. That's why they came out and said we have a big tent. Oh yeah, 100%. They don't have anything to stand on other than Trump bad. Trump bad. Following Chris Kuhn, he was citing Q, then disappeared a month ago. Be careful. Interesting. Citing Q and then disappeared. You know, there's a lot of people who go down the Q stuff. I don't do 100% on Q stuff because it's old, and I think there's just too much noise around it anymore. So I only share it when it's important, I think, or relevant. But yeah, I'm not too worried. Okay, Sooner, did I know Kristen's in charge for the Shield of America and Western Hemisphere dismantling drug cartels? Don Rowe Doctrine. Kirsten. You mean Kirsty Noem? Yes, I did know that. He put her in charge of that. So. Kate Davidson said, I work for the census. It counts people from Mexico and Latin America, Latinos, as white. Skews the demographics. I do understand that. But I'm not talking about white. I'm talking about conservatives. And even Hispanics who tend to have children tend to be more conservative. And Trump won almost 50-50 with the Latinos in the election. And Latinos are getting more conservative, not less. So that's not bad for demographically heading forward. So it doesn't change my my estimate for how things can change in the future. Brent says, how do we think military will deal with any of the bootlicking, civil rights violating cops? Well, I don't think that would be their job. Let's just say there is martial law imposed, okay, at some point, or at least the military's used operations for people within our nation. Okay. Bad people in places of power, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think the purging of police forces and stuff, that's going to mostly be done by local politics. It just will be. You can't use the military to go after every single American citizen just because they don't like them, stuff like that. But what they can do is purge the top, purge the power brokers, the people who have betrayed our country. And that changes a lot right there. That changes a lot right there. So, okay. You guys ready? You guys ready for the Grifter Report? All right, folks. This weekend, it got a little saucy. Bucko with a $5 super chat says, I deserve $45 an hour for outstanding presentation. Well, thank you, Bucko. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you. I do my best. I do my best to bring you guys a good show, good info, have some fun while doing it. So, and today's show is loaded. So I appreciate you guys for bearing with me as I haven't had as much time in the chat today. But again, sometimes the show is just full. It's meaty. And that is today's show. So let's get into it, shall we? All right. Well, for those who haven't been paying attention, there's been a massive, and I mean massive, campaign right now of discouragement and demoralization. It's what we call a PSYOP, which is psychological operation or psychological warfare. This is intel community. They created it, Mockingbird Media, etc. They push narratives. Your favorite podcaster, TV anchors, etc., etc. Many of them, if not most of them, are bad news and are there for a reason. People don't just get millions and millions of followers organically unless they've been doing something for years. It's very, very difficult. I know. I was in digital marketing. I know how it works. All I can tell you is that right now it is going up to 11. They are pushing this hard. And why? We have the midterms coming up. You don't think that's a big deal? Of course it is. We have City of London being broken The Davos globalist cabal is being broken financially, proxy-wise, losing power. Their tentacles of power in the Middle East, Venezuela, South America, you name it. It is being broken by the Trump administration. So what are they doing? They're trying to get us all to turn on Trump. And it is going up to levels we have never seen before. As Dan Bongino writes, the level of pure, unadulterated stupidity on this platform has reached epidemic proportions. It's as if some people don't realize this is public. This isn't email, it's social media. Everybody can see it. Even if you ignore bots and psyop trolls, there are actual living human beings posting things so spectacularly dumb, you have to wonder, do they have kids, family, friends? Is no one in their lives willing to say, Mom, that's absurd. Please stop embarrassing yourself. If you're one of these people, I strongly encourage you to seek guidance before hitting post. It's all public and the internet has a very long memory. History won't be kind. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. What does Bongino mean by this? Well, yeah, it's when the psyops go up, people get affected. And usually the people get affected are the ones very likely to speak out because their emotions have been pinged and they get scared. So they say ridiculous things. That's the sign that it's at least working a little bit, because the more extreme they get, the more people they'll emotionally engage. But it's also got a backwards effect. And that is that more people see it as nonsense, usually quieter people, and they stop tuning in. Well, one of the people they're stop turning in from is, well, not just one, I should say. It's these people. As Jay writes, the worst people in the Republican Party have gathered to bitch and moan about Trump. Joe Kent, Thomas Massey, MTG, and Tucker Carlson plotting a 2028 coup of MAGA. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene's post. We said no more foreign wars. We meant it and supported Trump because he made that promise, but he betrayed us all. The commitment America first for all Americans, right, left, and center. The movement has begun. Here's their movement as they plot around a table. Tucker Carlson at the center, looking very gaunt on his probably GLP-1s. Kent's wife, Massey, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, her new dude, bunch, the grifter frauds, the Justice League, Grifter League is meeting secretly, guys, to plot the future. And what are they plotting? Well, we'll get into that in a minute. But while this is going on, all hanging out here in this area, Thomas Massey took the time to blast some nonsense, basically saying that Republicans and Trump are responsible for the invasion going on in Spain from Morocco. Listen to this nonsense. Don't fall. This is from Thomas Massey's official account, which, you know why that's blank right there? Because he blocked me this weekend. That's right. He's blocking Americans who disagree with him. Thought you were a libertarian, man. Free speech for all. Don't fall for the fake Fox GOP outrage. 2 weeks ago, the House passed a bill that greenlighted the transfer of Spanish territory to Morocco. Every Republican except me voted for it, but now they're acting shocked at the invasion. Really? Is this true, Thomas Massey? Is this true? Well, Jordan Sather actually went and looked at it and says, what the text you posted isn't from the bills you linked. Oh, that's interesting. Why would he share this and share these and it not match up? Maybe because he's a liar? The text about Spain, Morocco is from Resolution 251 introduced last year to the House Foreign Affairs Committee and was never voted on by the House. Why you lying, Massey? Oh, anybody else surprised by that? I'm not. Man is a total fraud and continues to show it all the time. And more people are waking up. Gina Milan writes, Thomas Massey took money from Massimo Pac and Iranian-born billionaire Joe Kiani in 24. Kiani's a major Democrat donor who poured cash into Hakeem Jeffries, Jamal Bowman, and the DCCC. I've covered this before, but I'm just thrilled other people are seeing it. Massey was the only significant Republican on the receiving end. Right after those checks cleared, Massey turned up the volume on attacking U.S. support for Israel and AIPAC, I might add. Now the same guy's blaming Trump, Rubio, and Israel for the migrant invasion of Spain's Ceuta? I can never say it right. Give me a break. Massey spent years undermining Western interests. Iranian money just makes the pattern obvious. Not hard to understand. Follow the money. You'll understand why he's not blaming the Muslims who just invaded Spain. Yeah. 710,000 received from pro-Islamist lobby, by the way. Massey. What a fraud. By the way, that Iranian money, where do you think it actually comes from? Oh yeah, City of London. Because that money is coming from, filtered, by the way, through the IRGC, who's in control of Iran, who receives their funding from shadow banks from Europe, which we know as City of London, Davos crowd. Yep. Oh, Massey. Massey. Here's a story that just came out this weekend that here's how Thomas Massey became the most Kremlin-friendly member of the House. You know, when they mean Kremlin-friendly, they actually mean the Russian network, the Dugin network in Russia. This does not mean Putin, although, you know, there's ties sometimes. Massey, the most Kremlin-friendly member of the House. Massey's voting record. Voted against Russia sanctions. Lone House vote against rejecting Crimea annexation. Voted against Ukraine's sovereignty resolutions. I actually support him on that one. I'm not gonna lie. Opposed NATO expansion. Okay, Massey, you're starting to win me over a little bit. Defended Putin after arrest. He's not anti-Trump. He's anti-American, which I agree with. I don't care if he's being blackmailed, sold for money. My grandfathers didn't fight to protect U.S. from evil. Blah 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 blah. But the point is, Massey has had lots of connections to the Dugin network. And here we are, Mario Nafal reporting. Massey says the House green-lighted the transfer of Spanish territory to Morocco 2 weeks before Ceuta crisis. Now, we already found out this is a lie. And even Mario Nafal has to call it out. The actual text he's citing is committee report language, not the bill itself. House Appropriations Committee notes these sit in Moroccan territory and support diplomatic talks. That's not a transfer. It's non-binding guidance. Why inflate a story when the honest version already lands? Massey, called out by Mario Nafal. Who saw that one coming? Not I. As Luongo says, as always, Massey overstates the facts at hand and his reasoning for voting against. He's certainly free to vote however he wants. He should at least be honest what he was voting against and not grandstanding. But that's all he knows how to do. Grandstanding all the time. All the time. And then we had this happen this weekend. Massey now standing with General Flynn. Well, that's weird. Flew into Iowa yesterday to give a speech and randomly ran into one of my favorite patriots, General Flynn. This is not a good look for Flynn, gotta say. Not a good look at all. Massey calling this random is absurd. Massey and Flynn didn't just happen to wander in the same city at the same time. They were both scheduled speakers at Gun Owners of America in Des Moines. Here it is. John Birch Society, H.L. Richardson, Gun Owners of America, Tim Macy, GOA Victory, Goals, Ron Paul Wing, Massey and Rand Paul, Flynn, media influencer, Ball, Higbee, Saucedo, Massey and Flynn. He knew it was coming up. That's weird. That's really weird. Then over the weekend we had In and Out, the shooting in Idaho. 2 people killed by a mass shooter, but then thankfully a patriot gun owner shot him down, saved him, saved many more people. But before going to doing his shooting, here's the shooter's website or Twitter page sharing Thomas Massey videos just last year. Home interview, awesome insight into hip congressman, very relatable, tech-savvy, and young relative to most of Congress. Well, that's weird. It doesn't really mean that much, does it? But it is interesting. Why are these shooters always going down these crazy rabbit holes of the people who hate Trump, hate America? It's strange stuff. More Massey connections, though. And Will Chamberlain calls him out for this whole psyop he's running. Thomas Massey is an MIT graduate who's been in Congress for nearly 14 years. He knows the difference between bill text and committee report, which means he's a liar. Yeah, I thought he was this genius from MIT. You don't know the difference? It is a deliberate lie. And why, harp on Massey so much? Because he is their guy still in Congress. He is the grifter that's still giving all these other grifters someone to look forward to as like their guy in power. He feeds a lot of the nonsense because he's the guy up there. I have the receipts. I get the paperwork. Crazy stuff. And so when he lies about this, he gets a lot of people to fall for it. And so Massey has to be shown for who he is. He's sick. He's a sick, terrible man. As Sather writes as well, there's no mention of Morocco, Spain, Ceuta, or Melilla in either of the bills Massey linked. Is he lying or did Stafford give him bad info? Well, we know. We know he's lying. It's because it's too obvious at this point. But it's weird that he would link these two bills that have no mention of any of that in there. And then when J.D. Vance called it out, Massey responded. J.D. Vance writes, thank God POTUS was elected. Our country's border no longer looks like this. And Massey responds, Israel and Trump's folks at State Department encouraged this invasion. Guys, at this point, that's outright sedition. Or if he's being funded by Iran, it's treason. For him to call out our administration and lie about them this way, basically saying that they're allowing the illegal invasion of another land, that's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff right there. They even saw and received this blessing for it from GOP Congress 2 weeks before it happened. He's continuing that lie right there. Just nuts. How does anybody still trust this man? Why is he pushing so hard right now? Oh, maybe it makes a little more sense when you see, him pushing so hard right after this meeting. And then, Solomon reports Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker, and Massey may be planning to launch a new political party. And there it is. This is their long-term plan. This is why Massey is pushing harder right now. Why he's coming back into prominence. They came together, they made a plan, and they're going to try to take down the Trump administration, try to carve out their own little niche party so that in 2028, they can pull off enough people from MAGA to ruin the presidency. That is their plan. There is no way in hell they win. There's no way they get more than 3 to 4%. But in a close election, that is enough to change an election. Just ask Al Gore in 2000 when Ralph Nader got about 4% of the vote. Just ask George Bush 1 in 1992 when Ross Perot got 18% of the vote. Third-party candidates don't win, but they can provide spoilers. And this is exactly what they want to do. They're trying to kill MAGA, trying to stop Trump, stop the MAGA movement. And they are going to help that by trying to run a party in 2028. And then it all makes sense why they're all getting so much louder and prouder, right? Yep. Well, it's all over. Okay. And here's Flynn. So as Massey's ramping that up and he's hanging out with Michael Flynn, well, we have Trump endorsing next governor of Michigan and Flynn campaigning against him. Flynn campaigned against Vance after Trump endorsed Vance. Flynn has done this several times where he's gone against Trump's endorsements. Jeffrey Peterson reports, Flynn's going against Trump's picks again. Trump gave his complete and total endorsement to John James for Michigan governor. Flynn still pushing Donna Brandenburg. Oh, just like in South Carolina when Flynn was pushing along with Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey when they were all pushing the other candidate, Mark Lynch, who got his butt handed to him by Lindsey Graham. But again, going against Trump. Why? They don't trust Trump, who actually is winning anything? It's crazy. It's crazy. We keep seeing this happen. Candace Owens sure seems to love General Flynn, as was brought up in March. I told people afterwards, now I understand why you're a general. I would have followed you into any crusade battlefield after that speech. And Michael Flynn pouring to her. And why is all this happening right now? Well, because we have the talk of the new political party. And then we have Patrick Byrne tweeting out, "Who's with me? General Flynn, 2028. You see what they're doing, guys? You see what they're doing? They're all working together. All working together. But remember, the more, because of all this stuff going on with Flynn, it forces us to reevaluate how we might have seen him in the past. And remember that Bannon, who is buddies with Epstein, all over the Epstein files, talking about Michael Flynn in his text with Epstein. Here's the text themselves. It say, Flynn hit brutal. Epstein, Flynn's hearing delayed, so he has the next 3 months to help further. Help who, Epstein? Bannon was communicating with Epstein to undermine Trump. We saw that hundreds of times. I covered it well. So what was Flynn going to help Bannon with? Conversation took place long after they both let go by Trump. Has Flynn been working with all these people the whole time? I don't know, but I feel Flynn is so confusing to me. I'll be honest with you. She Thinks Freely writes this because here's Barris calling out Kyle Seraphin as a good source. They're fully dropping the mask, showing you they've all been working together behind the scenes. Alex Jones, Seraphin, Flynn 1 and 2, Barnes, Barris. They think we don't see him, but we see him. Here's Alex Jones with Seraphin, Alex Jones with Mike Flynn, Viva Frey with Kyle Seraphin, Thomas Massey with Robert Barnes, Rich Barris promoting Kyle Seraphin. You see it, guys? You see how these networks work? They all promote each other. But thankfully, more and more people are waking up. Walls are closing in. Flynn's now catching heat from the same Patriot circles once defended him, this time for criticizing Trump. We said it back on 8/8/23. To everyone seeing it now, welcome. You're not late. You're right on time. Truth is learned, never told. We're always wrong until we're right. Well, more and more people are coming out challenging Flynn, and we've seen it all over. And I had said myself, you can't tell me the timing on this isn't coordinated. Massey and Flynn together, and on the same weekend, Byrne pushing this out there. The same weekend they met together. There's something happening. There's a push going on. It's no coincidence. All these people are meeting and discussing. All the people who turned on Trump, some of them suddenly, especially once we went after Iran. Once City of London was dealing and taking Trump's hardest blow, losing their control in the Middle East, what happened? All assets deployed. And now they're realizing what Trump's doing, they can't beat it unless they go all in, and then maybe they have a puncher's chance. And now they're willing to push this. And they're exposing themselves in doing so. Flynn has had no role in Trump's government since the first term. Trump has kept his distance. Trump hasn't let him in on anything. And my question is, maybe Flynn wasn't always bad. Maybe he turned. Maybe money got to him. Maybe the fame and attention got to him. I don't know. All I can tell you is that as of right now, I don't trust this man at all. Here's a great post from this post called Ariel. Do you see what you had to go through get to this point? You're seeing the Flynn network come out in direct defiance against Trump. Do you now see how easy it is to not go some long-winded explanation why they can't be trusted? If Flynn were helping Trump do anything, you wouldn't have to try and break your brain as to why they're aligning themselves with people who want Trump out of office. Alex Jones came out and directly said he wants POTUS impeached. For many out there, this was a wake-up call, but if you've been following my channel, you're probably not surprised. All of them tried to take down Trump on January 6th. All of them were there that day. Jones, Michael Flynn, Charles Flynn, Nick Fuentes, Stone, Keschel. Keschel was not anti-Trump, by the way. I don't know why he's in here. James O'Keefe, Ali Alexander, Brian Gamble, Ann Vandersteel, even Ranklin Tario. I agree with all these except for Keschel. I don't know why he puts Keschel in here. But again, we all do our work and come out with some different conclusions. That's okay. But I would say I don't see any way at all Keschel is part of it. But as a matter of fact, Tario said under oath they were set up January 6th to frame Donald Trump. Colonel Earl Matthews confirmed this when he testified under oath. He said Charles Flynn was on the phone with Michael Flynn when they called off the National Guard. Do you remember when Michael Flynn personally told me to go read all his court filings? Well, the first one I started with was a January 6th deposition. Do you want to know why I stopped and started there? Because he pleaded the fifth over 200 times. This is true. Michael Flynn was the first one, just like Fauci, to call, to plead the fifth a ton of times after being pardoned. So another red flag right there. Now, I do want to say there's another side to this. Alpha Warrior, who I've generally really liked. Alpha Warrior. Alpha Warrior's had great stuff. He did this long video, which I'm not going to play here, but he did this long video in support of General Flynn, saying that, oh, it's okay to just have disagreements. And basically left it at that. This is normal. You're crazy if you don't think people have disagreements. But I have a problem with this. I have a real problem with this from Alpha Warrior, who is, by the way, he's like got a big show on Rumble, and he's very MAGA Trump, guy. But Alpha Warrior, his defense of Flynn is weak, very weak. And I can only think of two things here. That either Alpha, because he has a relationship with Flynn, he visits, he's too close to the situation to see it clearly. Or we're going to have to start realizing there's even more of these people, even on the Rumble deep dive censored side of things, that it's bad news, because there's just no excuse for what Flint's been doing. But Flint did reply and said, your honest video reminded me of another time in our long and difficult experiment to sustain our cause for freedom. It comes from a period of great unrest and greater division. Grant made a statement after, in a letter to his father shortly after Civil War. It came on the heels of Confederate attack. We must now come together to take this nation back from those who'd separate us. And then he goes on to say, if the past series of attacks on our nations were a series of Fort Sumter, starting with Russiagate to attempted coup of 2020 to an infiltration of establishment inside WDC designed to block everything our POTUS, Donald Trump, is attempting to do, as we have a body of patriots must now unify and get into our communities to ensure we stand against the aggression of our rule of law. I don't disagree with any of that. Our vote still matters despite how bad our system's corrupted, blah, blah, blah. It's time to stand on the side of patriotism, on the side of America, and yes, on the side of this president. Agree or disagree with policy decisions our nation stands on the brink. I agree with all of this. There's nothing bad here. The problem is, why? Why are you standing with Massey? Massey's not on Trump's side. Why are you being pushed like this by Patrick Byrne in a way that there's no way you'd ever make present General Flynn? No way you have a chance. Why is this all being pushed? Why is this happening? Why are you supporting Candace Owens in her comments? That is what's so confusing to me. And it just makes me trust him even less. There is, at this point, folks, I believe it's safe to assume General Flynn has joined the grifter crowd, if he wasn't there already. And moving forward from here, we have to, if he's going to earn trust back, he's going to have to earn it. He's going to have to earn it. And he's not the only one who has been doing some really suspect stuff lately. The stuff with Patrick Byrne continues as well. Laura Loomer. Patrick Byrne would talk about another time. Laura Loomer. She went over to Ukraine and has just been saying crazy stuff. And Colonel Watkins has been all over this. Says 2022, Loomer researches, studies, blasts Ukraine for killing their own citizens, bringing the wrath of Russia, save the ethnic Russians from mass murdering Nazi-inspired Ukraine. 2026, Loomer says all the research she did and things she said was based on propaganda from Russia. In 26, she meets with Nazis, says they were duped. She was duped by Russian propaganda, didn't come from Russia, believes the Nazis are now the sole arbiters of truth and be believed in. Guys, can you see how all this is driving them to be crazy? Like, one of the reasons we're getting to this point is because things are ramping up so much that it is time to go all in, all assets deployed. The further we go, the more people are going to be exposed. You guys know I've always held Laura Loomer at arm's length. I've trusted her reporting that I know you can back up, and I've disagreed with her on other stuff. And I've said, it's kind of weird. for her to go all in like this shows you that she's always been someone open for the paycheck. Let's just put it that way. Brian Cates with this. Oh, come on. They are Nazis. What the F are you even doing, Laura? Come on. It's true. Flynn, Massey, all these people, the longer we go, the more they will be exposed. And that's part of the plan. See, many people, when Trump got into office and started changing the world, there's a lot of people who jumped on the Trump train and used it to make themselves rich. And then when that's what you're led by money, when that's ultimately your North Star, well, then it's very easy to be bought to go the other direction. So they start seeing the writing on the wall. They know Trump's going to be gone in a couple years. They're getting bigger paychecks from foreign entities. They'll shift. It's that simple. Some of them were plants all along. We may never know which ones were which. Regardless, all that matters is who's on our side, who can be trusted, and who can't be. Keep watching. Keep paying attention. The grifters are just that, grifters. They feed on attention. They feed on the cash. And they're ultimately soulless. They have no North Star. They'll do whatever it means to better themselves financially, their influence, whatever it is. Do whatever it takes. But then when they're co-opted, when somebody does control them, they're also willing to burn it all down when it comes time to do it. And that's where we might be headed to. Because this is what happens when you go full grifter. It turns your hair white. As Owen Schroyer gets crazier and crazier looking, the further he goes on to the America First grift, the more he turns against MAGA. The guy was pardoned by Trump, just like General Flynn. And then has the audacity to go crazy. Well, that's what it does to you. That's a good sign right there, right? Bringing up Owen. But again, the problem for these people is that the more they turn, the more they flip-flop, try to have it both ways, try to lie, keep the grift going, the more people wake up. And there's no clearer example of this than Candace, who Asmongold, the #1 streamer in the world, continues to torch.
Did you cover the dumbass Candace Owens bombshell evidence about Tyler Robinson being innocent? She's circling the drain. I think that she's burned so much of her credibility with the Charlie Kirk, fucking goose chase, that I don't think anybody's going to take her seriously after this. She is between a rock and a hard place because she has basically distilled down the most crazy, conspiratorial, insane people possible. So every reasonable person is never going to pay attention to Candace Owens again. Like, Candace Owens is a retard. She's always been retarded, but now she's like especially retarded. So she can't apologize because then she sells out the only people that have stuck with her. And she can't keep going because those people are just increasingly more extreme and they'll eventually turn on her. Or she'll end up getting sued or deplatformed. Because the people that are those type of conspiracy nutballs, they will always want, it's kind of like nuisance streaming where there's never an answer of what is enough. There's always an answer of how can I get even more.
Yep.
The only solution is get professional help. Yeah, I personally think that she's totally cooked. I don't think that there's any sort of coming back and rehabilitating her image or the way that people see her or anything else. I don't really see it happening.
Why do people love Asmongold? Because Asmongold is exactly who he says he is. He's authentic. The guy is multimillionaire, gaming streamer who turned to politics as he got a little older, still lives in the same house he grew up in with his parents. He's kind of gross, not going to lie, bad hygiene, eats nothing but junk food, but he's a good he's a good common sense person. He's not necessarily crazy political, but you can't avoid it these days if you're giving out your opinion on stuff. And so he gives he's the perfect meter for where the culture is going thought-wise, because it's mostly kids watching him, young people, young men especially watching him. So when he speaks, it reaches millions and millions and millions of people. And he's telling you the grift is falling apart because they are seeing through it. The regular people are now seeing through this. And the only people still holding on to Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Massey, all this are the people desperate for conspiracy all the time, who just have to believe some crazy is going on, who just have to believe our government's always got to be bad. There never can be a good leader. We're always going to find a way to turn on these people. And that's who they keep attracting. But fortunately, there's not that many of them out there overall. Tucker's views 2 months ago versus Tucker's views most recently, cut in half. Turns out most Americans don't like treachery, being lied to, constant blackpilling, and blaming the Jews for you being a POS. And here's a good example. On the left, recent shows. On the right, older shows from a few weeks ago. And you can see a stark difference. 1.1 million views, 1.5 million, 2.7 million, 1 million, 1 million, 1.5 million. As to the recent ones, 630K, 400K, 360K, 650K, 580K, 260K. None of these are even breaking a million. He couldn't even get the Fauci episode to break a million. See, guys, their influence is waning. We're winning the battle. This is why I do these segments, because to call out and let people see more information than what they're just saying from their own mouth, so that you guys can make a decision on if they're trustworthy or not. And it's working. As Richard Hanania, who I don't like this guy, he's a lefty, but he does say something very interesting. He says the MAGA media is declining. He, of course, doesn't know that it's not the MAGA media, but regardless, he's right about this. Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Benny Johnson, and other prisoners of public discourse are becoming less popular. He says, is there hope for post-Trump America? I say there's more hope for post-Trump America because the grifters are going bye-bye. It says 12 right-wing influencers overall views. Look at this. YouTube views. Notice it's all from since Iran. All since Iran happened, when they all turned against Trump. YouTube views cratering. 100 million to 50 million. March to July. This is all them combined. Views on X. Massive crater. 800 million to now under 200 million in a month. Rumble views. 40 million to now just over 10 million. And podcast listens spiked a little bit last October. That was when she was really running the operation against Charlie Kirk, to now under 10 million. The influence is falling quickly. Here's case by case. This is weekly YouTube views by the creators. Benny, he's gone down a little bit, which, you know, Benny's more of a grifting personality than I'd say his information. But regardless, you see all of them on this end right here on the right end, all down. Benny's kind of bounced up and around, but most of them stayed down. Candace just had a little rocket ship right here rebound when she went after full out after Erica Kirk in March. Other than that, all down. Pretty incredible once you see it in the charts. So again, they're falling apart, folks. It's falling apart for all these guys. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. And it's another example of how we're winning. We are beating the PSYOPs, guys. We're beating the PSYOPs. They are losing. Independent channels are growing. Promethean Action is soaring. Tom Luongo, Rich Does Politics. These people are gaining viewers. People are waking up. The real people doing the work, telling you, doing the best. I mean, nobody's perfect, but doing their best to navigate the scenario, actually understanding what Trump's doing, actually giving him the benefit of the doubt because of the good we're seeing. Those people are growing. The grifters are going down just like the mainstream media did. And that is a huge, huge signal that we're winning this. And by calling them out, by challenging them, it's working. And so as I was told many times, stop doing these segments, man. Stop giving them attention. You're the reason they're growing. Well, let me show you something. I started doing these segments. Let's go back to the main chart that actually showed the months. I started calling out these people for the very first time. I did my first video on all this right around June of 25. And you see that since that time, guys, I caught the beginning of the trend down, but since that time, it's only been going down. And it's not just me. Others have been doing it. Obviously, I don't have this much influence. My point is that people started calling them out, noticing the grift about a year ago, and it's only been getting worse. And since we've been doing that, it's all been going down. It works. And that's why we're going to keep doing it. And that's why I'll keep doing these segments, because ultimately we have to defeat the psyops so the people can understand what's really going on in the world and how these people really don't care about you guys. They only care about themselves. And maybe, just maybe, the foreigner City of London globalist types that might just be the ones paying them. Allegedly. All right, guys, if you guys enjoyed that segment, hit the like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching today. Let me end today just by spending a little time in the chat, catching up on your questions and comments, and then we can head out. But again, thank you all for watching today. I know it was a long show. It was a loaded show, and it was a good Monday, right? Got a lot to go with moving forward. Let me catch up with you guys. Michael Argenti says, I love Promethean action girls in your show, Ace. Love the fellowship in the chat room. And you're saying, well, thank you for that. The Promethean action is amazing. And I do try to keep my chat in a good place. So keeping out the trolls. Yeah, MK's numbers just cratered. Shiski says, I don't get why Asmongold's popular. He's gross and lacks good content. I mean, I agree with you that he's got like that. I mean, he's haggard, right? He doesn't care, but I disagree on the good content thing. He's smart and he offers some good insights on stuff. And he's authentic, and authentic will always find a place, Katie says, busy wildfire day. Just tuning in. Oh, Katie. Hey, you want to give us any insight on what's going on in the wildfires, Katie? I don't want you to text too much if you can't, but glad you made it. Diane says, our Americans are finding well. Ace just named all the channels I was going to say. So Brand Langley out there, AK Scruff, Limbaugh Nation, Trish Reagan. I don't know those names, but I hope they're great. I think Asmon's fun. I like a lot of Asmongold stuff. Let's see here. Somebody had some on Benny I wanted to address, but looks like I lost it. Oh well. $5 super chat from In and Out Keys says the grifter views are going down while YouTube promotes them. Yeah, YouTube promotes them and they're still going down. Isn't that interesting? Lisa says, what's the best way to get people to see these grifters for what they are? I share what I can in your videos. I'm disappointed in Alpha Warrior. Yeah, like I said, Alpha might have an excuse. He might just be too close to the situation to give an honest evaluation. If nothing else, regarding General Flynn, if nothing else, he needs to be challenged. Somebody needs to publicly challenge them on their show and say, dude, we love you, but what is going on? Why are you hanging out with these people who hate Trump? Why are you promoting them on certain things? Why are you acting like they are on the same level? And that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear his explanation. Maybe he's got a real one. Cat Crazy says, I like Benny, but he does clickbait a lot. He's on the inside though and does get some good interviews. He really doesn't need to use lures to get videos. You know, the thing with Benny is, man, he just comes across so not authentic. He's always on. He's always like clever and so intense. And like, I just don't feel like that guy really believes what he says half the time. I feel every time I watch Benny Johnson, even in an interview, I feel like Benny Johnson is acting like he's performing. And I don't like performers. That drives me nuts. And because of that, it's hard to fully trust him, you know? And I haven't seen any like content from Benny that I would say is like really dangerous or outright lies, but I just don't like how he presents. I really don't. He does have some interesting stuff in his past too, but it doesn't mean he's bad now. Let's see. Is there a fire close to Area 51? Oh, here's Katie. She says, I'm a PAO for National Forest. As far as I know, firefighters fighting them the best way they can. Resources really thin right now. Very dry this past winter, really hot and dry now. Wow. Katie, were you deployed into a different state, or are you up where you usually are? Is Benny shaky with history? I haven't heard him talk about history. Monica says Flynn was a Comey plant to make Trump look impeachment, spent his jail time in 5-star hotels, not paid over $1 million a year. What not to trust? What? Do we know all that? Do I know Real Weekend Warrior? No, I don't. There's so many I don't know. There's a lot of indies out there. Cat Crazy says you're right on that. He's playing a part a lot on Fox. His shtick is ultra MAGA. Yeah, I agree with you. Benny does play an ultra MAGA part for sure. Psyop Receipt says, I watch Benny, but I think he's CIA or some other intelligence asset, just too perfect of a character. That's interesting. You know, he didn't he get his start on BuzzFeed? I know he got busted for plagiarism once. But yeah, I don't. And then Milo seemed to have some receipts on Benny Johnson with some like homosexual activity, but it was all alleged. I don't know. Oh, you're working remote. Okay. Wow. Katie's working remote, she said. Birdie says, I've noticed not many late night streamers to bounce ideas off anymore. It's like most left us. A lot of us work late. We can be on later. We need more late night streamers. Sorry, Birdie. I used to be a late night streamer, but I had to leave it for my own sanity and for my family. But yeah, I mean, I hear you. It's nice to have people on at all times of the day, right? Psyop Receipts just joined. Thank you, Psyop, and welcome to the membership. You now have access to all members' lives, and we'll try to get you in the Discord too. So thank you for joining and supporting the channel. Van Cruz says, I think a good way to get to the youth is not to talk about Trump. Just don't mention him. Go after the people they support. Like my niece hates Trump. She was a Nick fan, so I told her everything. Well, there you go. Yeah. Everybody's different, right? You just have to know how to reach a person on the way they'll listen the most. Yeah, isn't that funny, Doc? No, I will say this about Milo. Milo's not good, but he has had some real exposés on people that has ruined people, and he knows where the dirt is buried. Where the bodies are buried. He knows he knows real dirt. Yeah, Benny's cheesy. I agree with you. He doesn't really offer anything, right? You know when he drives me nuts is when he goes on like, I used to watch Pierce Morgan every once in a while because I enjoyed the debates, but then Pierce got just crazier than ever. And I always know Pierce was bad, but he at least like ran good debates for a while. But Benny would be on, and Benny is just so obnoxious. It's talking point after talking point. That's just why I can't watch him. He drives me a little crazy. Well, thank you, Kat. I hope someday maybe I'll get there. Lisa Couture, I'd love to join, but I get a little confused at what I'm signing up for. Is it content or meetings? What do you mean? Join what? I mean, if you join the membership here, you get to become part of the 24/7 Discord group, which, I do recommend you do it through Patreon, but you can join through YouTube as well. but you get access to members only live shows, members only content, but you also get access to the Discord group, which is 24/7 people chatting with each other, sharing stuff. I'm in there all the time. So yeah. So yeah, BitChute has good stuff on it. I mean, Odyssey, there's all kinds of like independent media places that have good content. The problem is their platforms and algorithms suck. And so it's just hard to get discovered on them. It's hard to like build a following on them. It just, you know, Benny Johnson. Andrew Wilson, yeah, he's great at debating. Ron says, I'm thankful for Benny. He might reach people who are wired performative way he performs his content. I mean, it works, right? He's got a great following. I will say though, you know, I don't know. It's really hard to trust a lot of content nowadays, whether the big ones, if they were organic or not, because I know how this all works. And unless you've done it for a long time and you have a track record of starting small and growing, it's very, or you are already a celebrity, it's very hard to trust when a podcast takes off or a show takes off online. It's, you know, especially when it's performative. Beretta says, what's disturbing about the grifters? Flynn, for example, we in Michigan have a chance. Flynn parachutes to cause problems. I know. That's exactly my point. Exactly my point. Like, let's look at Benny's channel, because Benny Johnson was not famous. You know, he was a writer for BuzzFeed, but he was not famous. And like, let's just look at his channel and how it grew. This is the kind of stuff that's like just weird to me. So he was 6 million subs now. And let's go to his oldest videos. Okay, so this is a good sign. Okay, and let me show you why. This is a good sign that he's kind of started on his own, because 9,000 views, 1,600 views, 5,000. So this is what a channel when it first starts should look like if it's organic. 1,800, 2,800. So his channel did not take off for a while. And that's actually very much in his favor. I mean, none of these had views for a long time. 5 years ago, he was not even getting 1,000 views on some of these videos. When did it take off? That's my question. Let's skip down here. Gosh, he did a lot of videos. Holy smokes. Yeah, even 4 years ago, he still wasn't that big. So this is a good sign. This is, you know, this is how channels should grow organically. Okay. All right. Wow. Even 4 years ago into the year, he wasn't that big. So now let's look at the latest. And so now, yeah, 145,000 views, 130,000, 200,000, 600,000. So this is, Benny's channel grew organically. That's a good sign that he's not bought and paid for. Okay. That's a really good sign. Because if he was, you know, and so he's had some breakout videos. Yeah. I mean, all this is really good signs that Benny, he built it the right way. So it took him over 5 years to get to this point. And yeah. So there you go, guys. That's how I look at channels to tell if, you know, what their beginning and ends are. Cause, when you, and then like, so let's compare this to Ian Carroll. Okay. So we just watched Benny, his past 5,000 views, 1,000 views, lots of low videos. And then he worked his way up. And so then you look at someone like Ian Carroll. Okay. Ian Carroll, also a nobody, came out of nowhere. He doesn't even have 1 million followers, and that's fine. But look at this. Look at his videos. This guy coming out of nowhere 3 years ago, 12,000, 35,000, 45,000. He took off immediately. He took off really quickly. And within just within like less than a year, he's hitting 100,000 regular. And then he gets on Rogan before he's even done like 50 videos. I mean, that's the difference. That's kind of the difference in how you can tell, like, if somebody organically grew or not. What's my opinion on Andrew Wilson? I think Andrew is legit. I think he is a real, I think Andrew is really a believer in what he debates. And I think he did his work the hard way. I mean, look, he's obviously not super promoted. He's only had 360,000 subs. Now, see, I don't know. See, his first video is 170,000 views. But what I don't know about Andrew is, did he start this later? Like, was he already a name? I think he was already doing the whatever podcast, and that's what made him famous. So he was famous ahead of time. But, yeah, but I mean, look, he still has some videos that don't like explode. This one's at 5,000 views in this first hour. It's like not huge. I don't know. I'll find out some. But Andrew has been, as far as I know, I haven't caught him in any lies. Let me put it that way, or any grifts yet. I haven't heard a black conservative perspective. No. X22. I think X22 is legit. That's Dave. I think he's a legit. I think Dave's a true believer. I really do. So anyways. Yeah, so and like, listen, there's a lot of people you put in here that I don't understand, like or I don't know, and that's fine. But again, one way, always try to look at how they started if you want to know if they're legitimate or not, or if and sometimes they do get their boost later because somebody finally bought them. That's possible too. But there's a lot of different ways to look into it. The main way to catch a grifter, though, guys, listen to them. Watch what they post, and see, are they catching themselves in lies? Are they flip-flopping? Do they say nonsense? Does something happen and all of a sudden they completely shift their character? These are all signs they're not really who they say they are. Sleepy Trashman, $5 super chat, says, dang, I missed all stream. Oh, well, congrats on getting blocked by Thomas Massel. Thank you very much. Can I do a grifter report on the enforcers? I don't know what that is. I guess I'll have to look into them. And then always, guys, my number one tell on if somebody's a grifter or not is, are they blackpilling? Is this who you're talking about? The enforcer? I don't know what this is. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, love you guys. I got to call it a day. I got stuff I got to do around here. It's over a 3-hour show. So I hope you guys got your money's worth today. Tomorrow, I'll be back on every day this week, 12 noon. I am working starting Wednesday through Friday. I'm going to be working from a lake house that my mother-in-law got for our family. And so, we'll be at the lake, but I'm still going to be doing my show. So, Wednesday through Friday, still same time. The shows might be a little shorter or something, but still be doing my show. But, listen, love you guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching today. Hit the like, subscribe on your way out. And, the next few days, just plan on me being here regularly, even if my background and stuff changes a little bit. Violence Poetry says, out of the abundance of heart, the mouth speaks. Grifters can't stay on script all the time. Absolutely. When you're a liar, you can't stay on it all the time, So anyways, you guys are the best. Let's pray and get out of here, okay? So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless everybody here, everybody watching. Thank you for them, Lord. Thank you for all the patriots we still have in our country. Gonna save this country moving forward. Father, I pray for a blessing and protection over President Trump, wisdom for him and all of his team. That God, we do set up a lasting movement that is finished in Trump's term, everything he needs to do. And from there forward, we have the right team to carry us forward so that our generation can bring about a better nation for generations going forward, our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, Lord. So we pray for that. We pray for peace to our nation, prosperity in our nation, and justice. Continue to expose the corrupt, those who lie, those who would just want bad things for us, God, and bring them to justice. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.